Hello, everybody. Welcome to Browns and Beyond, your home for Cleveland Browns content, NFL content, and other sports content. If you're enjoying the show, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you stay locked in with all the latest sports content. And most importantly, drop us a comment. We want to hear your thoughts. Boys, here we are. The draft is here. Finally, I'm so happy. My God, we've been waiting on this day. We're live today. It's the first live streaming for Browns and Beyond. Dave, isn't that exciting?
Oh, the dulcet tones of Greg Keaton. Oh, I love that voice. How sweet it is.
Sweet.
And how
we all wish we could do it like you do, buddy.
Oh, my God.
Yes, you know.
Rookie's turning red.
Yes, exactly. Gosh, I've never seen that.
Tones.
I've never seen that color on a man before, Steve. You know? But I have to say, I'm pumped. I'm excited. This is the first draft cast we've done for Browns and Beyond. I'm really excited. I'm excited about this draft. I think there's some really interesting prospects. I wish it was a little bit more top-heavy on the offensive side of the ball, just for the Browns' needs, Steve.
That's right, Dave. Gosh, there are a lot of good defensive players in this draft, especially at the beginning of the draft. First 10 to 15 picks, you'll see a lot of defense. You will see some offense, Dave, but it's going to be mostly defense because those are the top guys on the board. You got some good edge players. You got some real good linebackers. A few guys in the secondary, a few corners that are looking to be really good. And then offensively, you got your one or two guys. We know who those guys are going to be. That are going to come contribute and be starters right away next year.
Well, bottom line, Steve, I'd certainly like to see one or two of those guys. I think we're talking about a certain running back or a certain wide receiver on the Cleveland Browns roster come 2026. But I have to say, Steve, the talk coming in is that how likely do you feel that the Cleveland Browns trade out of that number 6 pick? Just bottom line.
Dave, I personally want to keep the pick at 6. And you know I like Carnell Tate, the Ohio State wide receiver. That's my liking. But the Browns' liking is always a different story.
Right.
They fool us. They trick us. They always do the opposite of what analysts are saying or teams are saying or team needs. They always seem to pull something out of the woodwork. What I do think, though, Dave, is that Andrew Berry, GM of the Browns, I think he's looking to trade up. And in my opinion, we were talking earlier. We said Dallas and the Rams are good trade partners if we wanted to do that. Keep in mind, Dallas has 2 first-round picks, Dave.
Yes.
Rumor has it the trade would be pick 6 and then our second-round pick 39 for Dallas for picks 12 and 20. Dallas has picks 12 and 20.
So that would put the Browns in a position where they could have 3 first-round draft picks.
Correct,
Steve.
Because we still have pick 24 that we got from the Jaguars that we acquired last year. In the trade with the Travis Hunter.
Exactly, and I think that would be really, really appealing, Steve. And you know what? The Dallas Cowboys last year were one of the worst defenses in the NFL. If there was ever a draft where this team could get well, it could be this draft because of all the defensive talent. There's a couple of guys out of Ohio State I'm sure they might be eyeing in Caleb Downs and Sonny Styles.
Caleb Downs.
Maybe even Arvell Reese, but then they would have to probably get up to the 2 or the 3 spot to probably make that happen.
But you know someone really good will be there at 6.
That's for sure. That's for sure.
All right, guys. We're getting ready for Mr. Goodell to give us the first pick of the draft. Big anticipation with the Raiders here, right, guys? I mean, don't know who this would be.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much a foregone conclusion on who they're going with here, Brent.
Yeah, maybe Kirk Cousins look-alike.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think this makes sense. Steve, I know you like this guy. You like him maybe a little bit more than I like him.
Yeah.
We talked about that in our draft preview. But, you know, this is a franchise that's starting over with the Raiders. You start over, obviously, at the quarterback position, which is the most important position in sports, they say, right, Stick?
Exactly.
Oh, they got the Steelers up there. It's your boy.
They got those terrible towels. They're waving those terrible towels. I hate those things.
Steve, don't you like T.J. Watt? I thought you texted him like you texted Haslam.
I thought Steve left his towel at home. He must have left his towel.
Oh, my goodness. I burn those in my backyard.
Oh, my God.
I have bonfires, and I'll throw them right in.
I can't believe they brought him. Don't you get a knee injury, Watt? What's going on there?
There
he is.
They got Watt. They got
Mr. Secondary sack leader.
Yeah.
We got another guy ahead of that guy.
Yeah.
I think his name's Myles Garrett. Sorry, TJ.
I believe set the NFL sack record this year, Steve.
That's right, and he beat Watt, speaking of Watt, to take that record.
Cam Hayward there with DJ Watt. Cam Hayward, there's another Ohio State player that went to Pittsburgh that's working on, possibly a Hall of Fame career. It's going to be interesting to see how many more years he's got left, by the way, I have to say. But I always had a lot of respect for
By the way, guys, I was at the draft in Cleveland. I believe it was 2021.
Yes, I remember that.
So it was real exciting. When you go to these things, even if it's in Pittsburgh, it's really cool. I can tell you that.
Yeah, it's probably a great atmosphere there, Brent. I mean, it's
fun.
Yeah.
I got poured on. Me and my buddy Book went, Brent.
Yeah.
And I got poured on. Oh man, it was raining, but it was still fun to say the least.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a great time. I think we know a fellow Steeler fan, Brent, that might be heading up to Pittsburgh.
He's kind of told us about 20 times that he might. Sorry, Mark. I love you, buddy. You reminded us
Did
you're
Mark
going to
take the drive tonight?
Yes,
Brent?
we do love Mark from the bar.
Yes, he is.
Who was a lifelong Steeler fan, and from what we're hearing, is heading up to Pittsburgh to take.
He wanted the Browns and Beyond staff to go live at Pittsburgh for the draft day.
Well,
maybe for the future. Right?
Well, Steve would have just been, we'd had to bring the barf bag for Steve, with those terrible towels, and all those Steeler jerseys. I got to be honest with you, I'm not really a fan either, Brent.
All these obnoxious Pittsburgh fans. Sorry, guys.
They say, "Go Steelers, go Steelers."
Yeah,
I feel like I'm at the on tap.
I've been through the mountains quite a lot. Don't
fans.
forget, I married into a family from the Pittsburgh area. Well, actually, Johnstown, or
really?
as they say, Johnstown, and it's about 3 hours away.
Oh,
they brought Big Ben.
Pride of Miami. Oh, there's your guys.
Big Ben.
There you go.
The only good thing he had was he went to Miami of Ohio for his college football.
That's right. Oh, there's Terry.
Terry Bradshaw.
There's Uncle Terry.
He's waving his flag.
There you go. There's Uncle. Love the pants, Terry.
Oh, those two don't like each other, by the way. I don't think Bradshaw and Big Ben.
I
don't know if they're fans.
I thought maybe they buried the hatchet.
Maybe they buried it since they're retired.
What was it? He just criticized him a little bit.
Yeah,
Terry.
It goes back to the motorcycle incident. I think that he was. Obviously not a fan.
Big Ben did do a few immature things, but he still is a champion, and he will be a Hall of Famer.
He will be a Hall of Famer.
No, first ballot. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah,
I got Hines Ward up there.
All right. I'm really interested to see this draft in just how many trades are made, Steve. Mm-hmm. I think there's going to be a lot of teams maybe wheeling and dealing in this first round. I'm also interested to see if 2 quarterbacks go in this first round. Ty Simpson's been a guy that's been rumored to go in the first round. I'm not a huge fan of Ty Simpson. I thought, that second half of the season he really struggled, and I thought he would have done well by himself to go back to Alabama for another year. Put out another good year of tape. Maybe string together a good complete season at Alabama, and that might have helped them going into next year's draft. So it'll be interesting to see if teams take a reach on him maybe in the first round.
Yeah, Ty Simpson is clearly the second quarterback that you would draft out of the. Quarterback's a huge need. Teams like Arizona like him.
Yeah.
They don't want him at what was it, pick 2, I believe it is.
Sure.
But they would like to get him deeper in the draft, so they might look into a trade. Arizona's interested in his services because they got Jacoby Brissett, but the Browns had Jacoby Brissett. He's great. I love him. Are you
going to send him a love letter?
I sent him a love letter on Facebook, didn't I, Brent? And
the
guy's great.
Oh my God.
I mean, he threw for a ton of yards, but he's not your long-term answer. Great backup.
Just so you know, I hope
great attitude. But he's not.
If you are you're a counselor. Give us a call at Browns&Beyond. We might need some counseling. We'll send players love letters, and there's a lot of emotion.
There's a lot of emotion going on.
There'll be a lot of emotion going on inside these living rooms as these players get drafted.
Yeah,
tonight.
no doubt.
I have to say this, though. If you're the Arizona Cardinals and your quarterback situation is Gardner Minshew and Jacoby Brissett, I would be looking at a quarterback strongly as well.
Like we said, I think Brissett's a good bridge quarterback. He can kind of hold down the fort.
Yeah, he can
hold
it down.
He's not a franchise quarterback.
If your starter's injured and he's down for 3 weeks, he can even get you a win or two. He won't lose all.
We were even talking. Steve kind of made this comment. He thought that when we got Watson and we found out he was a train wreck.
Sure,
Brissett probably would have held down the fort better than Watson. When we the year Watson's first and it's definitely his second year. Watson wasn't. If we had Brissett, we probably would have won some more games.
Might have won a couple more games.
Yeah, a couple more games.
Yeah, I thought Jacoby Brissett in 2022 actually a lot of times played very well.
Sure.
Especially considering he was thrown into a backup role. But I agree. He is what he is. He's a backup quarterback, bridge quarterback, a placeholder until your younger starter is ready to go and take the field.
Are you guys excited about the new regime here? Coach Monken, do you think him and Barry will kind of get this done? You think we'll have a good draft, guys, for the Browns?
Guys, I'm excited for this. Is Todd Monken's first draft.
Yeah.
I mean, he's 59, almost 60 years old. He knows he needs to win now, and he's going to have to do that. I hear the Riz. Everyone loves a little bit of Tony Rizzo, right?
Well, from time to time. I like Riz in small doses.
Yeah, no
Okay,
kidding.
well,
Yeah,
the
he can get a
Riz-
little bit much. Yeah, he's
They
right.
get this. The Riz said that Coach Monken wants Carnell Tate, and he said, what better thing could Andrew Berry do than give his new head coach that he hired
Right.
What he
a
wants.
present, an early present?
Yeah,
Draft day at pick 6, Dave.
It's interesting with this pick. The last time, the Browns had a high pick, they went Jedrick Wills in the first round that one year, and obviously they traded a lot of draft capital as part of the Watson deal. Last year, I think they were fortunate that Jacksonville, I still believe, did us a favor in last year's draft with that.
We
trade.
won that trade.
Exactly.
One of the best draft trades of history, I'm hearing.
Here we go, Brent.
Yeah, we got 4 minutes here on the clock, guys, and the Raiders are going to make their pick, and it looks like the Raiders have made their pick because there's a lot of in the war room there.
Shaking hands.
They're kind of shaking
they're
hands.
shaking hands, yeah.
So
they
we
feel pretty confident.
yeah we'll have our pick here in soon, and we'll talk about
guys wearing the sport coats here.
and we'll talk about Mendoza here.
Yeah, I'm sure we're gonna have a lengthy conversation here about
Will Mendoza be the starter or will be Cousins? That's what I want to ask you guys. What do you think?
I find that interesting. I would not be surprised to see Cousins start early in the season. I don't know if they want to rush Mendoza. If there ever was a really good bridge quarterback, I think it's Kirk Cousins.
Oh, absolutely.
I had said a good friend of ours, CJ at the bar, is a diehard Falcons fan, and I had said that if Cousins would have started the season start to finish, and I know Penix did some okay things early in the season, but I thought that the Falcons would have won that division fairly easily. I still think Cousins is a capable NFL quarterback, and I think that perfect bridge quarterback until Mendoza is ready to go, Steve.
Well, guys, I think the opposite. I'm not going to agree with you on this one.
Okay.
I think Fernando Mendoza will start right off rip.
Okay.
Really?
Cousins will be the veteran backup
Interesting.
if he was to go down or something were to
And
happen.
is it more because of modern football?
Yeah, let me tell you
Yeah,
my reasoning.
Sure. Tell
Young coach Clint Kubiak came out of Seattle with Seattle's offensive coordinator. They won the Super Bowl. He's a young mind. He gets to work with the young mind in the Indiana Hoosier, Fernando Mendoza.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys are going to click and get on the same page right away. I don't see him veering off and waiting. I like a young coach and a young player playing right away. See how they can do that, establish that. Now, if they had a veteran coach, then I think you would go with Cousins. If they had, let's say Todd Monken was there, I'm just using an example, then I think you would go with Cousins because you go with the veteran and an older coach.
I would say this.
But a rookie coach, rookie quarterback, get him right off.
He might be right. He might be right, but I think it's if he is going to be wrong, it's because he had a bad camp.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the camp, the preseason
He's got to
goes.
develop right.
Yeah.
If
he just stinks it up, they're not going to do it.
Well, and he's obviously when you're drafted number one, you're not drafted into a situation with a great supporting cast. So
That's true.
I believe the pick.
Yeah, if he struggles, the pick is in, guys. We will go to the commissioner, and we'll know here shortly who the pick is. See if there's anything crazy that happens, but we think it will be Mendoza.
Yeah, you know what? I like Clint Kubiak. I think me and Steve both grew to be fans of his this year.
Yes.
He did some great things with that Seattle offense and went on to, of course, win the Super Bowl.
You pick Sam Darnold around, then you definitely can get Mendoza going.
Yeah, we'll see here. Here's Raj.
Fernando Mendoza, the first pick of the 2026 NFL Draft. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Dave Greenshield.
Yeah.
Dave, give us your thoughts on the pick.
You know what? I watched him play pretty much 7 or 8 games last year. I liked what I saw. I think he's a fairly accurate quarterback. I think he's got a good arm. I don't think he's got a great arm. I don't think he's super mobile. I think there can be a tendency to maybe hold the ball a little bit. That's something that we see with a lot of college quarterbacks. I think a lot of times he's holding onto the ball, so that they can generate chunk plays. I did think he had a really good supporting cast last year. I like Elijah Surratt. I loved Omar Cooper, their wide receiver. Kurt Signetti has just been a miracle worker there in Indiana. It's going to be interesting to see if they can incorporate. They did a lot of RPO there at Indiana. He was really good at throwing back shoulder fade.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be one of the things that's going to be interesting. I will say this, just kind of in closing, I'm going to pass it to Steve. He was solid in his big games, but I don't think he was great. The two best defenses he played last year were Ohio State and Miami. And I thought he was pretty good, but I didn't think he was great. I watched the entire Ohio State game. I thought he really struggled in the first half. He did come on in the second half, hit a big touchdown throw, of course on a back shoulder fade, and then had a great throw down the sideline to seal that game. So he bounced back and had a pretty good, second half, 15 of 23, 222 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. The Miami national title game, he really didn't do much for a half. Had a great run for a touchdown late in the fourth quarter, but that was about it. So, and it is just one good season, albeit a really good season, Steve, but they're banking on that for the future quarterback.
Guys, I think he's going to be A-okay. I know you're supposed to perform in college. You should. And yes, he didn't play great against the better teams, but he did play good against the other teams, of course, as we've seen that. But he had 41 touchdowns versus 6 interceptions.
Yeah.
He's a master at the RPO, Dave, which is the run-pass option.
Yep.
Excellent. He's a big game performer. He's durable. He can take hits. And one thing a rookie quarterback does get hit, right, Brent? I mean, these guys are going to rush in. And they're going to be at him. They're going to want to tackle him. So they will take him down. But can he respond and get back up and stay in that game? And I think he will. And I do think he's going to start. He's got good pocket toughness as well.
Yeah,
he's elite accuracy.
He reminds me of a traditional 90s quarterback or an 80s quarterback. He's not your traditional modern quarterback that can scramble.
Well, I've heard some comps. Kirk Cousins is one of them. Maybe a Jared Goff, a Matt Ryan.
Matt Ryan
would be at the high end of that.
More of Matt Ryan.
Basically the pure pocket quarterbacks. By the way, the Raiders have now pretty much two pure pocket quarterbacks in Kirk Cousins and Fernando Mendoza. So it's going to be interesting to see. The one thing I will say about a Clint Kubiak offense is, can they get that running game going? We loved Ashton Genty a year ago.
Yeah.
They brought in Tyler Linderbaum to upgrade that offensive line. It was one of the worst offensive lines in football.
Right?
Yes, prize free agent from Baltimore. Yep. Can they improve their running game? Because that was a key to that Seattle offense that Kubiak had a year ago.
Yeah, remember, Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet.
Exactly. Right? Walker obviously going on to be MVP of the Super Bowl. And I think that's a staple of a Kubiak-Shanahan offense. They want to do a lot with the running game. They want to play action, bootleg, things like that. If they can get a little running game going to help out Mendoza, that would be huge. So
yeah, absolutely, guys. The Jets are the Jets are on the board. The pick is in, so we would know here momentarily what the Jets pick
Some
is.
Some are saying Arvell Reese, guys. Let's see.
I kind of think it'll be Jeremiah Love. I just
really,
yeah. I think he's going.
They were talking to David Bailey, but they told him don't visit. So I think it's going to be Reese, guys, but we'll see here.
Reese?
I think it'll tend to be a defensive player. I'm leaning Reese. Or David Bailey, actually. I think either one. I'm a little bit higher on David Bailey, and I say that as an Ohio State fan than I am Arvell Reese. But this is going to be interesting.
And Glenn being a defensive-minded coach, I think he wants a defensive player this early, pick 2 in the draft.
Yeah, you could make the case for offensive line too. Although I will say I think that they might just be looking at what they deem to be the best player on the board too. Obviously, that would be, I think, more on the defensive side of the ball. I feel Jeremiah Love is the best player on the board, although I think Caleb Downs and Sonny Styles are right up there in my view. But I think with the one thing with David Bailey is he could be as good a pass rusher as there is in this draft, if that would be the pick. Although, I don't know. What are you thinking, Reese, or do you have a lean here, Steve?
I like Reese. David Bailey was supposed to go visit, but he didn't go visit. So does that mean no, we don't want you, or is this hidden for that's who we're taking? I guess we'll be finding out.
Ladies and gentlemen, Roger Goodell making his second pick.
Yeah.
The pick is in. It'll be David Bailey.
Wow, they did
Everybody got. You kind of thought that the Bailey could happen.
I like David Bailey a lot. He was a huge impact player at Texas Tech. 14 and a half sacks, 19 and a half TFLs. It's interesting. Well, you were leaning Reese, Steve, right?
I was trying to say Reese But now I learned they didn't do the visit because they didn't need to do the visit. They were taking it. That was their guy, right, Dave?
Yeah.
What was your lean, Dave?
I was between. For me, it was closer to a coin flip
Between those two.
between Reese
Bailey,
and Bailey.
Yeah.
You said possibly Love,
but I think this guy. I know that a lot of people were talking Bain maybe, but to me, this guy could be the best pass rusher in this draft. And nothing moves the needle more outside of quarterback than guys that can get to the quarterback, Steve.
I think they say he's the most NFL ready to play and start right away. I think he has good arm length, right? His good rip move off the edge. He's got a great motor. Texas Tech, a good school. He's 6'5", 252 pounds. I think the guy is going to be great.
Yeah, I think he's going to fit well into that 4-3 scheme. They could use another dominant pass rusher within that front seven. I actually thought he was a more consistent producer than Arvell Reese. I thought Arvell Reese's production tailed off towards the end of the season.
Yeah,
especially if you watch maybe the Big Ten championship game and the playoff game against Miami. He was not quite the dominant force you saw earlier in the year, especially against Texas, where I thought he came out with one of the best defensive performances of the season. But this guy, what I like about him is you can put him on that edge. He can beat those tackles. He's got a nice move, great quickness, I think, off the edge. I think he's going to fit really well into Aaron Glenn's defensive schemes there with the Jets. And 14 and a half sacks is really good production. I mean, people can talk about the conference he played in. Look at that, nice. I mean, he's got a nice swim move. I think he's got some things in his bag too. It's not just he's getting by with physical skills either, Steve.
And as you know, Aaron Glenn, defensive-minded coach. When you're a defensive-minded coach, guess what you want to draft? A defensive player. And they got one of the best in the whole draft. So, he's going to be excited. And the Jets, they need to start winning games. They didn't play real well last year. I mean, they beat our beloved Cleveland Browns, but, so did a lot of other teams.
Yeah.
So, expect the Jets to get a little better even on this pick, I believe.
Yeah, I think he's a guy. I mean, he probably would have been in my top 3 defensive players. I probably would have had him slotted third after Styles and Downs. From Ohio State, but just because I love his production, high motor, that's an overused term. But the one thing I like about him, other than the quickness is there, 4.49 and a 40. I like the fact that he's got a little bit of a bag. He's got a rip move. He's got a spin move. He's got some things in his repertoire that allows him to get by offensive tackles and get to the quarterback. That's something I really, really like.
And you know what, Dave? A guy like Caleb Downs, you might even say maybe a better player than him and some of the other guys.
Yeah.
But position of need. Teams don't want to draft a safety, pick 2 and 3 and 4. You need an edge, which this guy's an edge.
Yeah.
Reuben Bain's an edge. There's some other good, or a linebacker. Sonny Styles is a linebacker. Arvell Reese is edge / linebacker. So I'm thinking some of those guys are going to go before, like example, Caleb Downs. A guy being like a safety. I don't think teams are drafting a safety that high. I mean, unless you got like an Ed Reed or something like that, I think he slides down a little bit, even though he's one of the better college players right away.
Yeah, I will say this. I do think with Bailey, I like the fact that I'm looking at this 6'5", 252. A lot of people see, maybe Danielle Hunter. I was talking about Will Anderson. We talk about that Houston dynamic duo all year, Steve.
Yeah.
I know that was a team you were high on going into the playoffs.
Yeah, I picked him to go near the AFC Championship. Right? Yeah,
you picked him to the AFC Championship game. So, yeah, I think a lot of people have kind of made that comparison for David Bailey. And, I think there's a guy that I wouldn't be surprised to see him have a great rookie campaign. In fact, he's probably going to be one of my 2 or 3 leading candidates for Defensive Rookie of the Year. So, I think the Jets made a really good move here, Brent.
Yeah, I think so. Guys, the Cardinals, the pick is in. Let's see if what they do here. Dave, any initial thoughts whether the Cardinals will take here?
Well, I thought that this could be a situation for trade. I have heard Arvell Reese mocked here, several mocks.
Yeah.
So that's also a strong possibility here. It'll be interesting to see how many people really want to trade up, maybe looking at Arvell Reese, maybe looking at Jeremiah Love, somebody like that.
Yeah. Or Sonny Styles.
Or Sonny Styles, possibly.
I think they like defense.
But yeah, I think the Arizona Cardinals could really use some help on the defensive side of the ball. I think Arvell Reese would be a really, really good place to start. But there's a lot of teams though that might want to get up there and get his services, Steve.
Yeah, we will see here momentarily. The pick is in with the Cardinals, so we're waiting on the commissioner to come to the podium and reveal the third pick.
They're looking at Jeremiah Love.
NFL draft. Yeah, it could be a Love situation here, guys.
Could they take Love? That's interesting. I actually, a lot of people had Love mocked number 4.
What do you do if he slips to 6, David, for the Browns?
I've made the case that he's the best offensive player in this draft, and it would be tough for me to pass up on him. Now the Browns already have Quinshon Judkins. Yeah. Now he is coming off of an injury, so we're gonna have to see. So looks like this pick is coming in though.
The pick is in. We're giving the commissioner here. And Steve, what do you think here? Who do you think it's gonna be? Give me a lean.
I like an Arvell Reese or a Sonny Styles, both Ohio State defensive players.
Okay, let's see who we got here. Jeremiah Love.
They did it.
Wow. Third pick is in. Jeremiah Love. We'll go to Mr. Steve Retzer. Get us your reaction,
What are your thoughts, Steve?
Okay, I thought they were going to go defense. I just had a feeling. Jeremiah Love, top offensive player in the whole draft. The guy's excellent. Out of Notre Dame. They're saying this is a faster running back. I guess this guy's just to be faster than when the Cleveland Browns had Nick Chubb coming out of Georgia.
Yeah.
Jeremiah Love out of Notre Dame here. He's 6 foot, 212 pounds. Great breakaway speed, electric spin moves. He just is a great player. He's the top offensive player in the whole draft. Him and Mendoza, as they were saying. They're giving him some comparisons to Saquon Barkley, Alvin Kamara.
Yeah.
Kind of like a hybrid back.
Yeah.
They're really saying that this guy can really make some production. He'll start right away, right, Dave?
Yeah, Alvin Kamara is the comparison. I think it's become a little bit of a lazy comparison for anybody that's a dual threat running back, by the way. It's like the default go-to for dual threat running backs. I love this guy. I think he can run in between the tackles. I think he can hit the home run. I think he can catch the ball out of the backfield. I think he's easily the best offensive player in this draft. I don't even think it's close. Love the production. 18 rushing touchdowns last year at Notre Dame. Over 1,300 yards. Speed is there. 4.3 and a 40. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. 27 receptions. He's got pretty good hands. So I think he can be used as that dual threat running back. It's interesting. We always talk about the Jets. We said we always like Breece Hall, but he's been a solid running back for the New York Jets.
Yeah.
But, to put him in the category of a Jeremiah Love. Now, I tell you what, you bring in Geno Smith, you maybe want to get him as many offensive weapons as possible. You already have Garrett Wilson. So you give
Arizona, Dave. Arizona, Jeremiah Love to Arizona.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Jeremiah Love. Pardon me. Had Arizona, I misspoke. I still had the Jets on my brain here.
Yeah.
Pardon me here. But with Arizona, you're looking at a situation right now where their running back situation was depleted last year. They had the injury to James Conner, so they really needed to fill the running back.
Jacoby Brissett was passing for 400 yards in crazy games. Now he's got a guy to hand the ball off to, and they're going to need a quarterback too, like we were saying earlier.
Yeah, you look at Jacoby Brissett. I don't think James Conner is the long-term answer at running back there. I just have to say that.
Yeah, has been. He was better in Pittsburgh than he was in Arizona.
He had an awful injury. I think that Jeremiah Love is now the future at running back. I will say this is an offense with solid offensive weapons. Michael Wilson was productive. We'll see if that Marvin Harrison can get going at wide receiver. He's not been as productive as the Cardinals thought he would be. But if he can get going, you have Wilson and Harrison at wide receiver. You now have Jeremiah Love running the ball. Trey McBride, one of the better tight ends in football. This becomes a really good group of skill players. See, this is maybe this is the argument for a team, by the way. You build up the skill players here, Brent.
Oh, yeah.
You have Marvin Harrison, you have Michael Wilson, you have McBride. Now you've got the running back. So you got the two receivers, the tight end, and the running back. You eventually find the quarterback. Like we agree. Brissett, Gardner Minshew, they're not the long-term answer. They're probably waiting for
Like more of a
next
bridge.
Yeah, they're probably waiting for next year. But whatever quarterback they may be taking next year, it's going to be Sobrano with some good skill talent.
And now you're talking maybe a possible playoff team in the hardest division in football. Brent, as you know, the 49ers, the Seahawks, the Rams.
I beat my boy Purdy.
Dave, isn't that a brutal division they're playing in? But they're going to be strong. Now if they got the top running back, and as we just said, they got really good receivers and a really good tight end. Offensively, this team should be more ready to go coming this season.
Yeah, guys, the Tennessee Titans are about to pick here. You know, the one thing that I was thinking, are they going to get Cam Ward a weapon there with Tate? You guys think Tate could go here?
That could be interesting, Brent, because, I had thought for sure that this could be the position, because I really thought there was a really good chance Arizona was going to go up to the defensive side of the football. And, I would not be surprised to see them get Cam Ward some firepower, get him an offensive weapon. I think they could also stand to look at offensive line. I think they could either look at offensive line or they could also look at wide receiver. I think offensive line, edge is also maybe a possibility. So I think that...
Yeah, get Reese there maybe.
Yeah, don't forget Robert Saleh. He's a defensive-minded coach.
Yes.
Did really good for the 49ers as defensive coordinator. He was thinking a defensive-minded guy. It depends on what your GM wants to do, but Saleh wants a defensive-minded player, in my opinion.
Tennessee got their pick. I don't know. I got a feeling it's Tate here, guys. I just got the way the war room is.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. And that would definitely could put
Cam Ward needs some help.
Yeah.
And if Tate goes here, guys, I think the Browns trade down.
I could see that.
I could see that too.
No, I think this is it.
I still think there's a world where they could look at the defensive side of the ball, maybe one of those two Ohio State defensive players.
Yeah, they might.
And I would not so rule out tackle either.
Yeah. I hope they get the offensive guy, though, for the Browns. Don't you, Steve? We got to shore that up.
Yeah, I'd really like to keep that pick 6, but
yeah,
we shall see.
Well, it depends how far you go down, yeah.
I'm actually hoping they go defensive-minded because we don't need defense right away, the Browns.
Yeah, the commissioner coming to the podium, and the 4th pick is in. And we will see here.
Here we go. Yep.
Carnell Tate, guys.
No!
Wow.
Steve,
They did it.
Here it is.
I told, hey, Steve,
Here it
I
is.
kind of had a lean on that, didn't I? I thought they're going to get him some firepower.
Yep.
Man.
It makes sense. I mean, to be fair.
I'm hurt. I'm a little hurt. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
God, I wanted the Browns to take this guy. I said it 2 months ago. This is the guy I wanted.
You know what I
This
think
is
could
the guy
happen?
I
They could
wanted.
trade down and maybe get the.
They could trade with Cleveland.
Maybe get Jordan Tyson.
Yeah, I'll start here. You take a look. I mean, Calvin Ridley, Wan'Dale Robinson. Some of this wide receiver core. It's just there's no standout here. They needed a game breaker on the outside for Cam Ward. I think they really liked how this draft fell, because if they weren't going to get, if Love or if the Cardinals would have taken a defensive player, if they would have gone Reese or traded out of that, they were going to have their pick of either Love or Tate here, Steve. So they end up with Carnell Tate, who I think is the best wide receiver in this draft. I'll say this about Carnell. He's been fairly productive the last couple years at Ohio State, over 50 receptions. He had, some good his game against Texas, I think he had a great touchdown catch. I think he's really good contested catch. I think he's a really good route runner, and I think he's got great hands. My only concern about Carnell Tate from a skill set standpoint, I wish he was a little bit better run after catch, which is something I put a premium on if you're a number 1 wide receiver in the NFL. That's what I think sets apart the Tyreek Hills of the past and obviously the Jamar Chases of what we see right now in the NFL. But I think for a guy that's a smooth route runner, that they can get open, they can go up and get it, great body control. I love his skill set, and I think he's going to be a really good weapon for Cam Ward in that
Well,
offense,
guys,
Steve.
real quick, the New York Giants, the pick is in. That was quick.
Wow, that was fast.
They waited no
They
time.
moved it from 10 minutes to 6 minutes. I'm not sure exactly
Yeah, I noticed
the time
that,
period
too.
They did that, but it's 6 minutes.
This first round, guys, could go pretty quick because, you got it's about 5 minutes between picks.
A great separation there by Tate. I think that 40 time that he got, I think, was a little bit overblown. I think he's got great football speed.
Yeah, great route running, like you said, Dave. You throw it up to him in the end zone, he's catching that ball.
Right. Great hands, Steve. Look at these. Great hands.
Yeah.
Now I hope the Browns get offensive line or trade down and maybe get the receiver. I don't want the defensive guy.
Yeah,
That's just me.
I think
Yeah, I don't want the
I think the two
defense either.
options here are, well, I actually, some would say there could be three.
Jordan Tyson or Francis Magua from Miami,
Yeah.
the tackle.
Yeah, the Francis guy might be something
They might look at that. I mean, there's been talk, that he might be more of a guard in the NFL, but a lot of people have him as either the best or the second best offensive lineman in this draft. I had him number 2 behind Spencer Fano, who played both tackle positions at Utah. I was one of those that it was hopeful that Carnell Tate would be there at 6 like everybody else.
Yeah.
And then you look at
Yeah.
tackle at
Yeah, at
24.
yeah.
But I would not be surprised. I think the
You like
three,
Spencer Fano, don't you, Dave?
I did. Spencer Fano, who played both left and right tackle at Utah. I like his movement skills. I like his ability to be a solid in pass pro, which is what the Browns need. As mentioned before, the Browns have some quarterbacks that like to hold on to the ball a little bit too long. Shador Sanders. And I think it's
Steve, he took a shot at you.
I think it's at
I'm a Shador guy.
I think it's at the utmost that they find a tackle that can hold up in pass pro. I really like Spencer Fano. I think he can play either left or right tackle. So he was my number 1 offensive lineman. So I'm really interested though to see what the Giants do here. Is there?
Yeah.
This is Jim Harbaugh.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're getting Sonny Styles here.
You think it's Sonny
Yeah,
Styles?
I do. He's going off the board.
Yeah, I think it could be one. It could be one of 3 Ohio State defensive players. It could be Styles. It could be Reese. It could be Downs.
What
even.
if you wanted Downs? Because Ed Reed was one of the best safeties ever in football ever. So maybe he'd like Caleb Downs. Maybe Harbaugh wants a safety.
Let's talk a little bit Giants right now. They took Abdul Carter a year ago, Steve, a guy that we thought very highly of.
Mm-hmm.
They've drafted Thibodeau, the other linebacker, and they also have Brian Burns. So
Yeah, getting Burns from Carolina, that was a great move.
yeah, he had a great season last year. So you take a look at the defensive side
Great
of the
front
ball.
7.
Yeah.
Maybe they want someone in that secondary.
Well, they just traded Dexter Lawrence, which in a move made no sense to me.
Is
but,
Caleb
okay.
Downs like an Ed Reed, or can he?
No, I love
comparisons at least at the safety.
Well, that's
position
the
is what
ultimate
I was saying.
comparison
At
because
the
to me,
safety.
Ed Reed's one of the 2 or 3 best safeties in the history of pro football.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's pretty amazing.
Yeah, he's right up there with Ronnie Lott. But I actually have made the statement that I would not be surprised to see Caleb Downs in the next 2 or 3 years surpass the Brian Branches and the Kyle Hamiltons of the world as maybe the best safety in the NFL. I do think he can be that good.
Because I just thought about that. Because Jim Harbaugh likes that, right? He likes having guys. Yeah, Kyle Hamilton when he coached Baltimore.
That's right.
So he likes these guys,
5 is a little bit high, though. I mean, that's why I would not be. I just take a look at their linebacker position, and they picked up Tremaine Edmonds, from the Bears, and you've got Thibodeau, you've got Tremaine Edmonds. You take a look at the linebacker position. Abdul Carter started to come on towards the end of last year.
Don't forget the Giants have 2 first-round picks because they have pick 10 also, Dave. So this will be interesting.
Well,
because they made the trade for Dexter Lawrence to the Cincinnati Bengals.
I'll give you one other option. I think that you could make the case that they might want to solidify the offensive line, get another tackle opposite of Andrew Thomas. If they went with one of those 2 top offensive linemen, I wouldn't be surprised either. Maybe you wait on defense because remember they got that 10th pick for Dexter Lawrence.
And guys, the Cleveland Browns have just traded their pick to
Wow.
the Kansas City Chiefs.
Jeez.
Wow.
Okay. Wow.
Interesting.
This thing is getting real
Yeah,
interesting,
where we said,
guys.
remember I said Tate's gone.
Tate's gone.
They're trading the pick. I said that.
Well, that could put them in a position to maybe take a look at Jordan Tyson, at wide receiver, or still take a look at offensive line. I do not think they're going to take a tackle there. I'd be a little bit surprised. I do think that there's a strong possibility they could take a wide receiver. I could be wrong on that, and I'm still a believer that they have to take a wide receiver.
I really want one, and Tyson would be the best way to go. I know he had some injuries.
Yeah, that's my concern.
Hamstring being the most
KC's
recent.
them. Okay, so
we have
KC, the Browns dipped to 9,
Yes.
and
Did you
then
get something else out of that?
Yeah, go ahead, Brian.
that's interesting. So I'm assuming we probably picked up a second rounder.
Well,
I think that's probably what happened.
Well, let's see. I believe the Giants pick might be about ready to be in.
Yeah, the
here.
Giants.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Giants pick about to come up here with the commissioner. We will see who it is. Yeah, as usual, guys, the Browns always trade that first-round pick. It's
Is it because Tate was gone, or
I think that's what it was.
they might have been doing it anyway, knowing the Browns?
Yeah, but I mean, but honestly, Steve, the two best skill players in this draft are gone.
Yeah.
So I mean, if
Love and Tate.
right, if they're both gone, trading back isn't maybe the worst thing in the world, especially if you get second, third round picks, something like that. Even I would not necessarily be opposed to it. You need more draft capital for this rebuild, which we're still in the middle of.
Yeah.
So, I'd be interested to see what they do. Like I said, I am not opposed. I have my doubts about Jordan Tyson, though. I will say that. He did not crack my top 4 because of those injury concerns. You're talking MCL, ACL, collarbone. He was injured at Colorado. He was injured at Arizona State. It's just a lot of concerns with those injuries.
A lot of former NFL players, though, are saying how they like him. That's what I've been hearing. That they like Jordan Tyson. Some like them as much or more than Tate.
Yeah,
Giants are in.
Hey, Arvell Reese, guys, and for the Giants, the 5th pick in the NFL draft. Arvell Reese, Ohio State Buckeye, going to the New York Giants. And I just got the info on the Cleveland Browns trade, guys, so let's kind of quickly get into that.
Please.
Yes.
The Browns will pick up for the pick. It's a pick swap, but they also get in return pick number 74 and also pick number 141.
Okay, so a little bit down the road there. Blaine.
Yeah, so we're not going to. Yeah, we're not getting an extra first rounder.
Right.
Remember, I kind of said it'd be probably an extra second.
Well, I will.
74 is that second? That might be third.
That is into the third round.
Yeah, that's third round.
Yeah, we're into the third round with that. I've always said that you usually gain your starters, though, within the first 3 rounds.
Yeah, so
you could find a starter
you're getting
in the
some
third
depth
round.
pieces. Getting some depth pieces. And I got a feeling at number 9, they're probably going to go Tyson.
I'm leaning towards wide receiver. I have my doubts in him, but
Or O-line.
Yeah.
The offensive line, they could do.
They could still do that, too. But anyways, guys.
Giants, Arvell Reese. I'll say this. Again, I like Reese's measurables. I like the vertical. I like the 40 time. I like all that stuff. I like the speed off the edge. I like his versatility. A lot of people feel he has a high ceiling. I really thought, towards the end of the season, I did not see the same productive Arvell Reese that I saw early in the year. If you go back and you watch the Texas game, then you go back and you watch the Indiana game, or you watch the Miami game, you were not seeing the same productive player. I thought the Texas game was one of the best games I've seen by a defensive player the entire season in college football. I thought he was all over the field. And Texas really had no answer. They couldn't block him. But, over the course later in the season, I just did not see the same productive player. 6.5 sacks. He did have 10 TFLs. I knew he was going to be a productive player this season at Ohio State. He was already up people's draft boards very early in the season, so there was always a chance that he was going to come out. Look, I love the way he diagnoses plays. I think that's the strength of both him and Sonny Styles. He does a good job of taking on blockers. I think he's pretty solid against the run.
Yeah, he can stop the run, it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He can play edge or linebacker, right there.
Yeah, he's got versatility.
Yeah.
You can deploy him. That's an interesting room, right?
Line him up a little bit.
Yeah, you take a look at all the draft capital the Giants have now invested into that position. With the Thibodeaus, with the Abdul Carters, with the Arvell Reeses, with what they've gone out, and Brian Burns. They I will say, Steve, they've got a few guys that can get after the quarterback there.
Oh man, they're good. Yeah, him and Burns. Ooh, that's gonna be pretty tough.
Yeah, that front seven. But how do you replace Dexter Lawrence's loss though on the D line though?
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't look into that. Yeah, run stopper, that defensive tackle, right, Dave?
Yeah. Yeah, third youngest, top 5 pick. Wow, that's amazing. I liked him last year. A lot of the times I got a chance to watch him play. He was very impressive early. I think if you put on the tape against Illinois, or as I mentioned earlier, against Texas, Penn State even. I think you're going to see a guy that's got first-round pick written all over him. I wish I was seeing a little bit more of that as the season moved along, but I would not be surprised to see him be a very productive player with the Giants. I was a little bit more of a Sonny Styles guy. I thought he was more consistent over the course of the season as far as with his production, but it's going to be interesting what he can do in New York.
Yeah, I think Harbaugh wants to have a top defense, because think about it, his teams in Baltimore for the last 13 plus 17 years or whatever it was, have always been good at defense, right? They've always been top defenses or top 5, top 10 defenses most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think that he does want to get that established first, get that defense going.
So they just kind of, just some more info on this trade with the Chiefs.
Yes, please.
The Browns would get an early third rounder and also pick up a fifth rounder for that pick swap with the 6 and the 9.
Okay.
So I'm kind of with Dave on that. It probably not a bad move for the Browns to kind of, because they do need depth guys. That is something that we all know the Browns lack depth.
We need draft capital.
By the way, last point on Reese real quick. All 6.5 sacks came last 5-6 games of the season. He did not have a sack. So
Wow.
And the commissioner guys going to
Let's go defense.
the 6th
Chiefs.
round.
See what they do. I'm going to say D.
The 6th pick of the NFL draft, and it is Mansour Delane.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, this was, the writing was on the wall with this, I think, to a certain extent. He was my number one corner. They lost, I believe, Trent McDuffie in the offseason.
Yeah, I was going to say they lost their top corner.
They lost their top corner, so this makes sense. LSU corners, Stingley was a prize corner there, in the NFL, one of the better ones. I like LSU secondary players, particularly corners. He was a guy that played a ton of man last year. He didn't hardly commit any penalties last year, and he played man. Look at, just sticky man coverage, great with his hands.
He didn't allow a touchdown last year.
Yeah.
Man coverage, Dave. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, and Kansas City is a team that's always put a premium on the cornerback position. They love to play a ton of man in the Spags defense. So I think this is a guy that will fit in really well into that system. I guess there just wasn't a skill player that they liked. A wide receiver, that they liked in this spot.
Yeah.
Steve, I thought maybe on the offensive side of the ball, I thought the Chiefs might look on the offensive side of the ball. You a little surprised?
Not making the playoffs tells me that you need to get a better defense, Dave. So Coach Spags should be happy about this pick here. He's going to like the pick. The Chiefs' defense has got to get better because, they need to get back into the playoffs. They're Super Bowl contender every single season.
But yeah, I know they made the splash move to get Kenneth Walker Jr. in the offseason, but I really thought they might take a look at the offensive side of the ball. But, Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, maybe they're happy with that position. Obviously losing a top-notch corner, this was a position they needed to fill. I thought this was a little bit high, but, I do think he is the best corner in this draft, so...
Hey guys, the Commanders, the pick is in here. We will find out shortly here. And that is the Commissioners.
This is your squad here, Brent.
Yeah.
Your side chick, Brian.
Side chick, Jaden Daniels.
Jaden Daniels.
Remember, he had a little
Can
bit
they
of a
give him a
sophomore
weapon, or
guys,
do they want to go defense?
a little sophomore slump, but it still wasn't as bad as
He was
the
injured,
Texans guy.
To be fair.
Yeah.
C.J. Stroud.
C.J. Stroud, he had I'll tell you what, man.
But Stroud got far in the playoffs.
Yeah, but
Daniels was injured.
He got a slump. Yeah, Daniels' sophomore slump don't even count.
Yeah.
Because that was more of an injury thing, right?
Yeah, the injuries didn't help.
I hear that Washington is interested in defense, but we'll see what they're going to do.
Yeah, they really do need to look at the defensive side of the ball. They got a couple of great prospects out there. They're still in Columbus. That
Sonny Styles is still available, Dave.
As is Caleb Downs.
Caleb Downs still available.
Yeah, you know what? I just have to say this about Mansour Delane. 6'1", 190 pounds. So I think he's got that height. He's got that length to be that perfect man corner in the NFL. A lot of people maybe question his 40-yard dash time, but I think that you just have to pop on his tape and watch him how he did playing a ton of man against the best receivers in the SEC. Like you said, you gave the statistic. He was one of the least penalized corners. He didn't give up a touchdown, I believe, in man coverage, right, Steve?
Correct, yeah.
So, that's impressive. And like I said, they want to play a ton of man. So,
And they play the best teams in the country. Yeah.
Commanders, we've got the draft room here, the war room, and the pick is in. We'll be finding out here momentarily. You guys got a lean on this Commanders pick?
I would not be surprised to see the offensive, or possibly the defensive side of the football. They definitely need to shore that up. This was not necessarily a really good defense a year ago. Maybe an edge here, maybe secondary, and they could definitely take a look at offensive line too. So, I mean, I could see one of the tackles, and I could see one of the tackles or the defensive side of the ball.
Bringing up the old Steelers guy, the old Steelers guard, coming to the podium.
Ooh, the bus. Is that the bus?
Yeah,
The bus is on.
the bus.
I'm hoping they go defense. 'Cause
Yeah,
don't take our tackle with the
I know,
coming up
I
soon.
know.
Well,
If that's what the Browns want.
they were not very good against the run last year. They could stand to look at maybe a Sonny Styles could be the pick here.
That's what I was thinking.
Sonny Styles
Let's see.
could be the pick here. If it was Sonny Styles or one of the offensive tackles, Brent, if I can give you any insight, I think that
It ain't going to be that. You don't think Bain could go here?
I think Bain could be a possibility. You could always use a pass rusher, but the run defense was weak. Linebacker, I think, could be the spot too.
Yeah.
I think folks have Sonny Styles rated a little bit higher than Bain. There's a little bit.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Arm length has been a concern that people I think have been talking about with Bain. I actually think he's going to end up being a pretty solid pass rusher, but we shall see. Here we go.
And Sonny
Sonny
Styles,
Yes.
the pick is in.
Hey, great minds
The seventh
think alike,
pick.
buddy.
Yes,
There you go.
I suggested Styles.
I was leaning there. I love this guy. I just do, top to bottom.
Ohio State Buckeye.
Yeah, so many things I like. By the way, I'm so old. I saw his dad play. That's how old I am.
Wow.
Yes, we're talking about age now, Brent. We've gotten to that portion
man.
of the
Yeah, it's my God.
By the way, had one of the best pro days when you take a look at his vertical, you take a look at his 40. I'm not saying you put everything into the combine, but he wowed a lot of people, and I believe moved up a lot of people's draft boards with that combine. 89 tackles last year, 5.5 sacks. I love everything about this guy. I think he only missed one tackle over the course of the year. And what is the most important thing a defensive player needs to do? You need to put somebody on the ground.
Yeah.
And I love the way he plays in space. I love the way he plays in coverage. I like the way he pursues sideline to sideline. He's a former safety, now playing linebacker. He was my choice as the best defensive player in this draft, although I was torn. I was 1A, 1B with him and Caleb Downs. I think he's great at dissecting plays. I think, whether a team is going to run a screen, whether they're going to run a quarterback draw, whatever the play is going to be, he's great at dissecting plays. That's his instincts are really good.
He could be like a hybrid type player, right, Dave? That's what I was mentioning.
There's such a premium on linebackers that can play in space.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard a comp, Fred Warner, which is high praise. I said I think he's a better version of our own JOK.
Yeah.
Before JOK had gotten hurt. So I think he's going to be a really good pick here for Washington. They needed help. That was a porous run defense last year, one of the worst rush defenses in the NFL. I think he feels an immediate need. If you couldn't necessarily address that offensive line or a playmaker for Jaden Daniels, I think this was the right pick, Steve.
Oh yeah, he's a good blitzer. 6'5", 244 pounds.
Yep.
He's got a high football IQ.
Yep.
He knows where the ball's going. He can get to the quarterback, like you said. He can tackle in the short yardage. He can take down those running backs. The guy's pretty good. Elite in coverage.
Yep. I saw there was a couple of times he got beat on a wheel route in the playoff game against Texas. Maybe man coverage not always the best, but I think he's really good in zone. And I think for a linebacker, I think his coverage skills are really good. But I think he's going to be great against the run. I think you can also blitz him. I think that the Commanders got themselves a really good football player here.
All right, guys, the Saints pick is in. We will find out momentarily. Steve, any final thoughts on the Sonny Styles?
I believe, isn't Bobby Wagner one of the top linebackers? I believe he'd be a good guy to learn from.
Yeah, as like a mentor.
Like
there.
a mentor styles, yeah. I think that'd be a good,
Yeah, what's going to be interesting is, you take a look at that depth chart, and you take a look at where they're at with linebacker. You get Adafe Owe, who can be a solid player when he's healthy. Keelavon Chason. They could use a little bit more help. I mean, they could use another impact player, particularly at the linebacker spot. Like I said, they need to improve that run defense. It was one of the worst in the NFL. I think he does a good job of pursuing sideline to sideline. I think he's going to have an immediate impact. Saints are going to be an interesting pick, by the way, here, guys. I just have to say that real quick before that pick is in.
I think they'll take one of our guard the tackle
or
the
for Tyler Shuck,
or the receiver.
Not. Well, I heard rumors that they might be looking at a receiver, whether it be Mekhi Lemon, maybe Jordan Tyson. Get another receiver opposite of Chris Olave there.
Can they take Lemon? Because I don't want the Browns to take Lemon.
I was higher on Lemon than I was Tyson, Steve, because of the injuries. Now, I mean, to a lot of people, Lemon is just a slot receiver, but he was a really extremely productive slot receiver.
I just hope that the Browns have Todd Monken involved in the pick. I hope it's not just.
I got a feeling we're getting O-line, guys. I just got this feeling it's just going to happen.
But it's got to be one or the other, O-line or receiver.
Yeah.
I would not go anywhere else at this point in the draft.
Yeah, I think they could use some help on the defensive side of the ball. I don't know if they would go for Downs or a Bain. I doubt it. Or a corner, especially with Delane already gone. I think wide receivers are real need here, guys. I think getting somebody. Yeah. You have Tyler Shuck. Steve's a big Tyler Shuck guy.
You like Tyler Shuck, Steve? Don't
Yes, we actually even did a little short on Tyler Shuck last year.
Yeah, we did. He turned the team around. He produced wins. What's his name? Spencer Rattler, right? But was not getting so many wins.
Not so many wins out of Spencer.
And Shuck was like an older quarterback, right? Wasn't he like 28 or something? Like he's a little older quarterback. But he could be their guy of the future. It's looking like it.
Yeah, I mean, you take a look at that wide receiver position. After Chris Olave, I mean, it's lacking. I mean, they
traded the one fella to Seattle.
I mean, Kevin Austin Jr., Mason Tipton. I mean, you're taking a look at some of these names. This is not good. I mean, they could really use something opposite of Chris Olave. You got Travis Etienne. Like I said, if you get another wide receiver to go with Olave, you give yourself a little bit of a 1-2 punch. You've addressed running back in the offseason, Steve. You're kind of putting together that offense around Tyler Shuck. So, again, offensive line would not necessarily be outside the realm of possibility, but I don't know. I think wide receiver, I think this could be Jordan Tyson, Steve. I wouldn't be surprised. I hate to say it.
Don't tell me that, Dave.
Now, let me ask you, was your gap between Tyson and Carnell Tate that big of a gap?
It wasn't real far off. I guess I wanted Tate.
Okay.
But because I'm watching other analysts and former NFL players, and many of them were saying that Tyson could be just as good or better than Tate. So now I'm trying to think, that changed my mind a little bit. I'd still love to take. It's kind of taking a gamble, Sure, he's got the injuries.
A hamstring injury limited him last year, but still 61 receptions, 9 games, 711 yards, 8 touchdowns. A lot of people love his tape and what they saw. I like his size. I love receivers 6'2" or taller.
Yeah, 6'2", yeah.
Yeah, he's got that.
I don't want a 6 foot or 5'11" guy.
Well, that was another reason.
Which would be Mekhi Lemon. I know he's going to be a good player, but I just don't want to be for the Browns.
Right, he's undersized. A lot of people's eyes. That's also why.
I don't want a slot receiver. I want a big fella that can.
Well, if the Browns did wait on a receiver, remember I liked Boston out of Washington too.
Yeah. I mean,
the epitome of that big body.
That could be a pick. So good call there. This could be a possibility of the Browns thinking lineman and then maybe going receiver at 24 if a guy like Boston's available.
Yeah, I mean,
he's a big guy. He's 6'4".
Right. If a Tyson goes here, Steve, I wouldn't necessarily be surprised to see them go tackle, wait for wide receiver, down the road at 24. So they invert it, Brent. They invert, which was your
they might invert it
philosophy. So.
Yes, so we will go to the commissioner here, guys. The 8th pick is in, and it'll kind of help us reveal what's going to happen with the Browns, possibly. So the Saints pick is in, and we will know here momentarily.
I think you're going to see an improved team here on the Saints as well. In this division of Carolina, Tampa Bay. You know I like Tampa Bay, but I think you're going to see the Saints win a few more games. Chuck had them rolling.
That's going to be an interesting offense next year, especially if they do.
ETN, like you said, Olave. Now let's see who they add.
Yep.
And Jordan Tyson, he will be the 8th pick in the NFL draft. The Browns.
My heart's getting broke, Dave. Can you crush it more?
Dave said it, and it's lean, didn't you, Dave? You had to lean.
Can you break my heart even more? What did the Browns do again? They missed out on the 2 top receivers in the whole draft.
Yeah, you know what, Steve? I actually think this pick totally makes sense for this team, especially when you look at that wide receiver room after Chris Olave and how much it's lacking. I think this totally makes sense. I think this is an obvious move.
Olave isn't getting any younger, right? He gets injured sometimes.
Yes, he's had some injury problems.
Tyson could take over as the number 1 or be a solid 2.
Yeah, I mean, again,
but
can
he's
he stay healthy?
Prone as well, correct. Yep.
Can he stay healthy? That's going to be the question. Even when he was at Colorado, he had the collarbone. But I love his size. I love his hands. He's got really good speed. He can get by people in man coverage. He can get deep. He can take, he has that ability to take the top off the defense, which is what I really like. He separates. That's big. And then the other big thing, Steve, when he's on the field, yards after catch. He does have that quality that I like more than I like.
Like Jamar Chase had.
Well, I'm not going to put him on that level, but I think he's much better in that area than Carnell Tate is.
They're comparing him to a Luther Burden / DK Metcalf, like a blend of those 2 guys. If you could be like a Metcalf, then that's pretty good.
But again, missed games every season due to an injury. Last year, hamstring injury. He had a collarbone injury in the past. I mean,
yeah, I hear you there. So maybe
it's a risk.
You're convincing me a little more.
This is
a little positive for the Browns being up.
Well, this is why when we did our pre-draft, I did not have him in my top 4. This is why I had Lemon and Omar Cooper in Boston were some of the guys I was high on after Carnell Tate, who was my number 1. I just feel Yates was high on him, his number 1 wide receiver. I've heard some comps. I don't see him as quite the big body receivers. Let's say maybe a DK Metcalf, although that's
what they're saying, a blend of
Burden. He's a genetic freak, DK
Chicago.
Metcalf. Yeah. I mean, if you get anywhere close to DK Metcalf kind of production, that would be amazing.
The Browns pick is in, but we're waiting.
The Browns pick is in. Momentarily.
We'll see what we think here, guys. David, I'm starting to get a feeling of linemen now, and the guys I'm thinking on my board is the Francis McGowie, or however you say his last name, Monroe Freeling of Georgia.
Well, I think it's going to be one of 3 guys if they go line. Freeling, Francis, and then I'm going to go Francis.
Yeah. Let's just go with that.
I'll go with Francis.
Francis Malagoa.
Yes,
okay,
I'll go with Francis.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to go Spencer Fano. So I would say one of 3 offensive linemen, or in my view, what they should do. They're not going to do it. I doubt they would do it, but they should do it. Take the best defensive player, the best player left, and that's Caleb Downs.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't see that.
They also could give you a shocker. Penn State lineman Olavage Loone.
Right.
He's
a guard. He's a guard, though.
Okay.
He's a guard. And
I just heard that he's moving up on the draft board.
But a lot of people think that Francis is going to move to guard in the NFL. I don't know if that's a strong possibility. Spencer Fano was asked to rep at center by some teams, from what I've heard.
Okay.
But I like the fact that he can play left or right tackle. Monroe Freeling, by the way, who also gave the stamp of approval for Monroe Freeling?
Who's that?
One Joe Thomas.
Oh.
Who knows a little bit of something about playing offensive tackle.
That's no Joe Schmo. That's not a Joe Fate Boom.
No,
that's Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
Mr. Joe Thomas.
Can we get a ding for a
Joe Fate Boom?
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I got a feeling. I'm with you guys. I think it'll be Freeling. Or I think it'll be, like Dave said, it'll be a defensive guy. He
You
might
think-
get a
could
Caleb Downs or...
You don't like Francis, Brent?
I just got a feeling they're not going to do that. I don't know why.
So you don't think there's any possibility they take Caleb Downs?
No, I do think there's a possibility, but I think I lean more toward the Freeling.
Listen, if they took Caleb Downs here and they waited for wide receiver at 24, because I still think they can get
they're
a
getting
solid
a wide out later.
Yes,
yeah.
I think they can get a solid wide receiver at 24.
All right, guys, the pick is in. The commissioner coming.
Ruben Bain Jr.
This
Could
is
be lined
we've been
up with
waiting.
Miles
guys,
Garrett. We're just kind of going all over the board
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
I'm just kind of
They
mixing
might.
it up.
They might. Yeah, it could be a Ruben Bain. It might.
Got some Browns
That's
fans.
exciting.
Here
We got some
go.
Browns
All right,
fans in
guys, the
Pittsburgh.
pick is in. Number 9.
Here we go. Wow.
Spencer
Spencer Fano. You know,
Okay.
I'll say this. I actually am not surprised. He was
This
my
was your pick, Dave.
He was not. Well, I was hoping for Carnell Tate, like you were, Steve.
Right. But for linemen.
But I said if they were going to take an offensive lineman, this is the one I wanted. I would say he can
Really?
play. But yes, he can play both. I'm just glad they didn't take Caden Proctor, who I think.
Why would this guy be higher on their board than Freeling?
Well, I'll just say this. You know, first of all, the amount of starts that he has, I think he's a little bit quicker. I like him in pass pro. He's really good.
Yeah.
You know, I know. See, every time I watched him, he's really good on his quickness is something I really like on reach blocks. His ability to stand up against really good edge rushers. Again, the Browns are going to need an offensive tackle that can hang in there and pass pro, especially with a quarterback that likes to hold the ball in Shedeur Sanders. I like the versatility that he played both spots. I like the amount of games he played at Utah. You know, he was an All-American. The productivity was there. I think he was my best offensive lineman in this draft. Steve, do you have a thought?
Really?
They're saying that he's the most balanced at pass and run blocking for both. So I mean that's pretty important, and he's versatile. If he had to move, you know, because our guys were going down all the time. This might be the best guy, you know, that you could pick at this slot 9. You know,
Okay, another pick is in, and
okay.
the commissioner number
The
10. The Giants are up.
back at it. Like I said,
Yeah.
this was in the Bengals trade. See who they get.
Francis
Oh!
Mauigoa, number 10,
Yep.
out of University of Miami.
He was supposed to be
Well,
the top lineman.
I'll
you know,
say this.
Miami.
This draft has fell the way that I thought that it would when it comes to how I thought the 2 offensive linemen would go in this draft. And these
You
were
didn't think Fano was going to go
yeah,
before
these
Francis?
were my 2 top offensive linemen in our draft preview. I actually went with Fano over Francis because I went with power. I went with speed over power. I liked Spencer Fano's quickness. He was under a 5 in the 40. I liked his arm length. He's got those 34-inch arms, which arm length is one of those things that's the new catchphrase for tackle right now. You have to have strong arm length to be there, to get out there in pass pro.
Yeah, I've been hearing it more, Dave, for edge rushers and offensive linemen, like
Yes.
how important it is, the arm length. I never heard it as much as I did this year.
Well, remember, that's one thing that people had doubts in your guy, Will Campbell, that was drafted by the
LSU to New England. Right?
the offensive tackle with the Patriots this year.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the season did not close well for him in pass pro at offensive tackle, or for that matter, the Patriots. This guy, to me, though, the comp that I heard is this guy's built like a refrigerator. It's trying to move a refrigerator. This guy is pure power. I think he's a really good run blocker. I think he's pretty solid in pass pro. Although I actually liked Fano a little bit more in pass pro than I liked him. But I think this is a good move for the Giants. The Giants really needed help on the offensive line. It's going to be interesting. Is he going to be that offensive tackle opposite of Andrew Thomas? Or does he kick inside to guard? This is the rumor about him. Will he play guard in the NFL, or is he going to play the tackle spot?
One of his concerns they're saying is that he's best fit at right tackle only. So maybe he's not as versatile, whereas the Browns were thinking Fano was.
Yeah.
So, but the Giants need an offensive lineman as well. for their guys in New York here. So.
All right, guys, America's team is on the clock.
Dallas is in.
The Dallas Cowboys are next, and the pick is in. We'll find out momentarily. Dave, any final thoughts on the Francis pick there?
Yeah, I like this move. It's just a matter of whether he kicks inside of the interior, or he's that opposite tackle of Andrew Thomas. I think he's a really ferocious run blocker. He's always putting people on the ground.
He's a punisher.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're not moving that guy. Yeah, by the way, if the Cowboys pick is in here, Brent, if there was any
they got to go
intelligence down there in Jerry World, it's Caleb Downs.
Caleb Downs?
I would go Caleb Downs.
Or Reuben Bain.
Reuben Bain could be a possibility. Either way, they've got this draft has fell pretty well for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah,
because they can get
players available
because of their defensive needs.
Guys, I'd say so far with the Browns pick, I actually think that was the right pick. I was worried they were going to take a defensive guy just to kind of be cute, and they didn't do it, so that's good.
Well, I was worried that they were going to take Caden Proctor, which would have been I would have been totally out on that.
No, you didn't like.
I didn't.
I was not as.
He was giving me Jed Wills vibes, DeJuan Jones vibes. I didn't like. I had weight concerns there.
Jed Wills and him, they both went,
I don't like
to
that
Alabama,
either.
So that could have been true, Dave. You never know.
I actually do think Fano is going to be a really good pick. He was the big Pac-12 offensive lineman of the year. Only 3 sacks allowed. Like I said, he's amazing in pass pro. It'll be interesting.
Oh, guys, we got a trade.
Okay.
Cowboys get number 11. Dolphins get number 12, 177, and 180.
Okay, that's interesting.
So the Cowboys are on the board, but that was originally the Dolphins slot.
Okay.
So just I wanted to get the audience up to speed on the trade. But go ahead, Dave.
All right, thanks, Brent. Yeah, I think it's interesting to see them flip picks, by the way. I actually do think Dallas right now is in a really good spot, whether it be Downs, possibly your guy. You had Reuben Bain is, I believe, your number 1 defensive guy coming into this draft.
I did. I know you had Sonny Styles. I had Reuben Bain Jr. I know they're concerned about his arm length and all that, but he could be, I'm not going to call him Micah Parsons, but if he could even be half of Micah Parsons was, don't you think Jerry Jones would be pretty happy having an edge guy that could rush like that?
Well, I mean, they need it all on defense: edge, linebacker, corner.
They needed. Yeah.
I mean, this was one of the worst defenses. It was not a good defense when they had Micah Parsons. Then you lose Micah Parsons, and the defense is even worse. So they, last year, a lot of times they reminded me of the 2024 Bengals. They had the offense, they had the quarterback play, they had the receivers, but they couldn't stop anybody on defense, Brent. Mm-hmm. It was very kind of eerily similar to a year before with Cincinnati. They just need to get a little bit better on the defensive side of the ball, because I think the NFC East could be a little bit more up in the air than it's been the last couple years, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the best player available, like you said, Dave, probably is Caleb Downs.
Hands down.
And I wonder if Jerry World's going to think the same.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. They did move up, so maybe they do want to secure that as their pick. I've heard some things about Reuben Bain, arm length again, maybe a concern. I liked Reuben Bain at Miami. I think he's probably maybe the second best pass rusher in this draft after David Bailey. So I would not be surprised if that was the pick, but I just think Caleb Downs has got the better pro potential in my view.
Yeah, because I don't know if you want to take a safety this early in the draft, but he's best player available. He'd be the best safety in the class, so they do need defense. So that may be the way that they don't want to go.
Yeah, you know what, though? There's always a premium on pass rushers, Steve, but...
You think you want an edge rusher first, but we'll see.
Yeah, this Dallas defense last in the NFL in points allowed last year, giving up nearly 30 points a game. One of the worst defenses in the NFL, defending the run and the pass. They just need impact players, whether it be in the secondary or in the front seven.
I watched them play the Arizona Cardinals on a Monday Night Football game. Not sure if you watched that one too, Dave, but I was just shocked. Like the spread and all that. Like Dallas was like a heavy favorite. You know what I mean? And Arizona just straight up beat them. And that was Jacoby Brissett that did that. And that defense was just getting beat up by a backup quarterback. I mean...
Yeah, I mean, probably giving up a lot of chunk plays. I mean, I saw that in the 40-40 tie. My only tie in my game of the week
With
picks.
Dallas and Green Bay, wasn't
Dallas
it?
and Green Bay on Sunday night when they couldn't get a stop on Jordan Love late in the game when they needed it. So, yeah, this is an interesting
Yeah, they
trade
got the
here.
trade here. The Cowboys receive the 11th overall pick, and the Dolphins get the 12th overall pick, the 5th round pick, and another 5th round pick. Is that right, guys? Yeah, I think that's right. Two 5th rounders, and they swap spots in the first round there. There you go. All right, the commissioner coming to the podium, and we'll get the Cowboys pick over to you guys.
All right, here we go. This should be interesting. I think we're all pretty much sure this is the defensive side of the ball.
And Caleb Downs. There it is. The pick is in. The Dallas Cowboys get Caleb Downs. Steve, what's your thoughts on that?
Caleb Downs, like we and Dave just said, he was the best player available. Safety, he might be one of the better safeties in the whole league. I think it was a great pick. What do you think, Dave?
I think, I had a tough time deciding between Sonny Styles and Caleb Downs on who the best defensive player was in this draft. Nick Saban said this was one of his favorite players to coach. He loved this guy. And he said he was going to miss coaching him after he retired. He is, really good as a blitzer. He's got great football IQ. He was the Jim Thorpe Award winner last year. He's solid in coverage. He's great in the back end of that defense. He's the eraser. When a guy breaks through the line and gets through the defensive line and the linebackers, he was always a sure tackler there to prevent that huge run. So he was great, in run support. You can blitz him. He's got some versatility to him, which is what I really, really like. I think it's an important quality. Again, it was really a close call on who I thought the best defensive player in this draft was. I just as easily in our pre-draft could have gone with Caleb Downs, but I think this is a great move. I think he's got a great career, and mark my words, within the next 2 or 3 years, I think he's going to be the best safety in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, he's good at strong safety. He can play in the nickel. He can play nickel linebacker. Excelled at all those roles for Ohio State. And I think he can do that for Dallas.
Yeah, and this is a defense that needs a lot of help. I mean, you take a look at the defensive side of the ball. Like I said, 30 points allowed. They gave up a lot of big plays this year. They could have been a lot better against the pass. I think you could improve them against the pass and against the run. They struggled in both areas last year. You take a look at this team on the defensive side of the ball, and you take a look a little bit at their depth chart, looking into the secondary. They've got Deron Bland at corner. They still actually have Malik Hooker as their one of their safety, actually from an Ohio State player.
That could be a good combination.
Yeah, that could be an interesting 1-2 punch.
Downs,
Malik
he stops the run.
Downs. Yeah,
he's a run stopper as well.
Yeah, you can blitz him. He's great in run support, as you can see there. You can play him close to the line of scrimmage. He can play in coverage. I think he's great in both spots. He's just a great all-around safety.
Hey guys, the Dolphins pick is in. We will be getting to that here momentarily. This draft is moving along, guys, pretty well.
Going pretty quick.
Yeah, we've had a few trades, Brent. I mean, we've got some teams show some activity here to move up and get the players that they want.
God, the Dolphins have a lot of positions of need, Dave. They signed Malik Willis, right? So he's going to be starting for him.
New coach Jeff Hafley, it's going to be interesting to see what kind of moves he chooses to make. I think this is a complete rebuild in Miami. Mm-hmm. They've got to look at probably both sides of the ball. They've got to look at the defensive side of the ball and the defensive line. They've got to look on the offensive side of the ball at O-line and at wide receiver. Obviously they did make the trade getting rid of Jalen Waddle with the Denver Broncos, a good move for them to get that draft capital for Jalen Waddle. And then also, you don't know what Tyreek Hill is going to be coming off of that injury. That was just a nasty injury a year ago, Steve. Yeah. So you have to look at a wide receiver. You had one of the best two
receiver or offensive line.
Or offensive line on the offensive side of the ball, and then maybe it's certainly edge on the defensive side of the ball or corner. They've tried to look at that position in the past. It's still a position of need on that team. I just hope new head coach Jeff Hafley is going to get some time down there, because this is going to be a full rebuild in Miami, and they're going to need to address both sides of the ball. And it's going to be interesting to see what they look at on both sides of the ball. I would not be surprised to see them go. Do you go with Ruben Bain from Miami there? I don't know.
I think he'd be a good pick. I just have a feeling too that like you just said, they really need a receiver. Malik Willis, wouldn't that be nice to get him somebody, get him a weapon, right?
Yeah, could you go with Mekhi
Waddle's
Lemon?
gone, as you said. Mekhi Lemon would be a good pick.
Yeah, or Freeling even at the offensive tackle position.
Yeah, so there's a few good players still available.
Yeah, the Miami Dolphins, the pick is in. We will know here momentarily. Miami picks Caden Proctor, Alabama.
Yeah, this is not a pick. I definitely would have gone with Monroe Freeling here if I'm looking at offensive line. I don't have a lot of good to say here, Steve. So if you do, I'm going to let you go here. But I'll just start. I did not like his movement skills. I don't think he's a player that got better from 2024 to 2025 at Alabama. He's got some weight concerns. He got up to around 360. So, 352.
So you're thinking this is like a DeJuan Jones. Huh?
DeJuan Jones type vibes here.
And he gets hurt a lot and all.
Yeah, that lateral quickness, that's what affects your ability to move. And at tackle, you've got to be able to move. This is why I love Spencer Fano, by the way.
Yeah.
He can move. He's versatile and he can move. This is why I think the Browns are getting a really good tackle. So, but I just have to say, this is why I had doubts in Caden Proctor. 15 starts at left tackle. He did, only 2 sacks allowed, so he did do some solid work in pass pro.
Big guy.
A lot of people feel
152 pounds.
A lot of
6'6", huge.
Yeah, a lot of people love him in the run game. You saw him, I think, he can pancake some people, but again,
he's unmovable, massive frame with the elite length. Speaking of length, he's got the length, Dave. So
and that coveted left tackle spot, which is always at a premium in football. And if you're a team that's looking to build, that's one of the positions you look at on the offensive side of the ball. I get it. I do like his physicality. Again, I do think he can be dominant in the run game, but that weight, that lateral quickness, the fact that I don't think he really showed much growth from 2024 to 2025 as a player. I have my doubts here. I would have gone Monroe Freeling if I could be wrong on that, but I would have gone Monroe Freeling.
If Proctor can keep the weight down, watch what he eats, play his game, he could be a steal in this draft, and that's the if.
Well, but
he's got to stay in shape. He's got to eat right.
Put
him on a good program.
I know that it's limited experience, but he has 15 starts at left tackle in Freeling. He only allowed 1 sack allowed, and he was an All-American, and he was the SEC Lineman of the Year.
Yeah, he won the Outland Trophy.
And they passed on that for Caden Proctor.
Wow.
I'm sorry. I was more on Monroe Freeling. I had him third on my offensive tackles.
Yeah.
After Francis, after Spencer Fano, he was my third pick. I think Freeling would have been the better pick here in my view. I could be wrong. We'll see how both their careers.
Well, he'll be coming up real soon.
I always say it on my last offensive tackle.
Probably
pick,
best player available.
If I get my old buddy Josh Sutherland, back when we were working together to do a former podcast about fantasy football, going into the 2020 draft, I was one of the people that wanted Tristan Wirfs over Jedrick Wills. Said it at the time. I was vindicated on that. I wonder if I'm going to be vindicated on taking Monroe Freeling over Caden Proctor here at Tampa.
That'll be interesting to see, because as we see, Wirfs is very good. He gets injured sometimes, but he's the best lineman in Tampa for our boy Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, I was a bigger fan of him coming into that draft, and certainly a bigger fan of Freeling here. But it's going to be interesting to see. The Rams are on the clock now.
Oh, there is thoughts of Ty Simpson for the Rams. Stafford's going to start, but he's not going to be there forever. What's he going to be?
They need a replacement.
Yeah, but I think this is a little high at this pick. I think this.
Yeah. It's always high going after that quarterback in a draft.
Right, but I would say that this is a team that's trying to win the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah.
They don't need another quarterback.
Yeah, I think this is where you maybe feel a
But does
position.
Sean McVay think that he could turn this guy into something?
Well,
Or
I
Stafford, God forbid, got injured.
no, I hear you, but I think you try to maybe fill a position of need that maybe puts you over the top if you're the Rams. You look at possibly they did address the
Many are
defensive
thinking
side of the ball.
wide receiver Mekhi Lemon out of USC, who we talked about a little bit. He's a little undersized, but he may fit
I would look.
on this Rams roster because Devontae Adams, isn't getting any younger. And
I understand that.
Lemon could play in the slot, and of course you got Pekua, right? So he's one of the best receivers in the whole league.
I mean, getting
Lemon could complement those guys and give Stafford another weapon as well.
I mean, I was looking at more top needs. I know wide receivers out there. I would still look at O-line. Matt Stafford's pretty much a pure pocket quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I still think Freeland
Like you said, Monroe Freeling
could be a possibility. The guard from Penn State, could be a really good possibility here. I like both of those offensive linemen. I think they really could look at offensive line. It's interesting. The defensive side of the ball, I thought the secondary was a question. In the offseason going into this team, I think they tried to address that in the offseason. But I do think I can't see quarterback here, Brent. I really can't. I think that they've got to look at a position that puts them in a better position.
Because they were so close to getting to that Super Bowl.
Right.
And just to say, the best tight end in the draft is still available too. That's Kenyon Sadiq out of Oregon.
Yep.
So I'm saying
I like him a
there's
lot.
some good players available that could really help this Rams team.
I like Sadiq a lot. By the way, it was Trent. They were the ones that made the move for Trent McDuffie from the Chiefs.
Okay.
So they've got Trent McDuffie at corner right now. So they did address a position of need there by going after McDuffie. It'd be interesting to see if they looked at another corner. I doubt it. I think if I was them, I would maybe look at wide receiver. Yeah, slot receiver, maybe Lemon to go with Devontae Adams and Puka. That could be a good trio.
Yep.
Or maybe offensive line. I think I wouldn't be surprised.
So we're thinking Monroe Freeling or Mekhi Lemon.
Could be a possibilities. Or
I know we just mentioned Simpson, the quarterback. We're getting a little bit all over here.
Well, no, if I give you a top three, I'll throw out Simpson. Those would be my top two. If I gave you a third, I would say maybe a corner. Maybe one of the Tennessee corners.
Jermad McCoy.
Maybe McCoy.
Good one.
Yep. Be interesting to see because, by the way, I think the Rams are going to go into next season as everybody's preseason Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did talk about that.
Yeah, I had them in my championship game a year ago.
Yeah, it's pretty close getting it done. That was the Super Bowl between them and the Hawks.
Yeah, it was like reminiscent of the '90s when the two best teams in the NFC were the true Super Bowl.
The Super Bowl it wasn't even a real game because they played Buffalo and they stunk. So.
Right. Well, that was the days of the Cowboys in the '90s when they were the dominant teams. Yeah.
They had to play against Don Beebe and they beat them 52-0 or 52-10. And, sorry, I know it's funny.
It was a blowout.
I know,
it was a blowout.
I think the defensive guys were getting touchdowns for the Cowboys and.
But
I don't know. It was a kind of a different time.
Yeah, I felt mid-season those were the two best teams last year, and it played out that way. Wow. Could they really?
Yeah, they're looking at Simpson here, guys.
Yeah,
they're looking at him.
Yeah, oh boy.
Wow,
he was second.
Yeah, well,
in
you
the
know why?
SEC.
Because McVay's the quarterback whisperer.
Yeah.
The pick is in for the
Let's see
LA
who they're
Rams.
taking.
And
people had him on their draft
yeah,
boards.
they said on the best available is Mekhi Lemon. That's what Steve Retzer was saying a little bit ago, and we will find out, guys. The commissioner is going to the podium. Why do I get this feeling they're going to get Ty Simpson?
Going to be interesting to see. I think they have bigger fish to fry, but
pick is in. It's Ty Simpson.
Wow.
They did it.
Steve, you were right on the money on that one, man. Wow.
I couldn't be more off on that one. After I got my offensive line right, I'm a little
Alabama tight. It's just because it's a McVay pick. He is a quarterback whisperer. He's thinking of the future. He thinks this is the replacement. And you never know, guys. With Stafford, he can get hurt. Kind of, it's a thing. But I'm with Dave though. I probably would have held off another year or two. I think Stafford's still got a couple more years left, don't he?
Yeah, I believe he's got at least 1 to 2 maybe good years. I understand that maybe looking at the future at
So look
quarterback,
ahead.
But, again, I think a Mekhi Lemon would have been a great weapon to add to an already dynamic offense, especially playing the slot. I think could have been good. And then, again, offensive line. You never can have enough big people to protect your quarterback, to protect the franchise.
Yeah.
I mean, this was a guy, Steve, that looked good early on. You take a look at the numbers, 2,800 yards, 22 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. But as I watched him late in the year, especially the one game I watched against Oklahoma, he was absolutely awful, throwing picks.
Well, he can run the ball too, Dave. I see 425 yards rushing, 6 touchdowns.
He's got some mobility. He is more of a pocket guy.
Dual threat rushing ability for sure.
He's got some mobility. I mean, he can make throws outside the structure if he has to. And that's fine.
What better teacher though?
Yeah,
Sean McVay can develop this kid.
I get it, and he's obviously McVay has had success with multiple quarterbacks. Obviously, Goff and
Stafford. He
Stafford.
turned Baker Mayfield around.
Yeah,
he kept Goff good. Stafford. I mean, he's also good. He's still a younger head coach, so he can develop these guys. So
yeah,
I could see Simpson doing better for the Rams than I would see him. On
Yeah.
a bad team
Simpson looks like he needs to play on a team that's more established.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I can see.
You think? Don't you see that, Dave?
I tend to agree with that, Brent. But here's the thing for me. I have to say this. He was a guy that I think showed accuracy at times. I do think he's got fairly decent athleticism. But as the season wore along, as he played against the better defenses, he really struggled. He did not have a good Rose Bowl game. He did not have a really good game against Oklahoma late in the year when they lost at home. He rebounded a little bit in the playoff game, although I think that was a little bit about Oklahoma imploding in Norman. But, I mean, you take a look at it, I thought he had a fairly solid game against Auburn late, but, he had some struggles late in the year, guys. Had just a horrible Rose Bowl game, left that game. And, I just did not see it as the season moved along. I thought he got off to a really good start, but I thought he was a guy that could have used another year at Alabama.
Yeah, he's a junior.
Exactly. Maybe another year with Kalen DeBoer. They worked with him. They helped develop him. DeBoer brought in his old OC at Washington. He could have used one more year in Tuscaloosa, in my view. So,
I'm glad he's off the board because I did not want the Browns to look at him at 24. That's a way down. They took him at 13. That is crazy.
Yeah,
isn't it?
that's really high in my view.
It's a reach. It's a reach.
Yeah, I mean, I understand looking towards the future.
I mean, some people even had him going in the early second round.
They must really think that maybe Stafford only has one good year left in him, Brent.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a possibility.
Yeah, and I kind of think you're right, Dave. I think it's like, 1 year, 2 if you're lucky. If you're lucky with Stafford. Yeah, the Ravens pick is in. We will find out here momentarily. I know Steve Retzer loves to talk about the Baltimore Ravens. The Steelers and the Ravens, right, buddy?
Yeah, they got a new head coach, and Jesse Minter, came from the Chargers. He's a defensive-minded guy. Even though he's defensive-minded, gosh, you got to protect Lamar Jackson, don't you, Dave? Here could be your Monroe Freeling, or I don't know. I just feel.
That defense was bad, though, last year, Steve. I know they got Trey Hendrickson.
They have a lot of needs, but in my view, this is my view. If I was the GM, I like getting some protection for Lamar Jackson. He had a tough season last year.
Well, I mean, you lose Tyler Linderbaum at center. Obviously, we know he goes to the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to look at offensive line. Could be a possibility. I don't know if they look at the interior offensive line. Maybe the guy from Penn State. Could be a possibility.
Yeah, Ola Vega.
Yeah.
Loane.
Yes. I think that could be a possibility here. The guard. And then I think that, there's also maybe a secondary wide receiver could be a possibility. They necessarily found that complement to Zay Flowers. So
The pick is in with the Baltimore Ravens.
Be interesting. Could go either way.
Yeah, and it goes.
Oh,
Vega, Ione, he gets it there, guys. The Baltimore Ravens, the pick is in. Dave Greenshell, what do you think about that pick?
I think it's a solid pick. I would have said offensive line, maybe wide receiver. Obviously, they addressed their need at edge with Trey Hendrickson to help the pass rush in the offseason, so they felt good about that. But if you take a look at him, I really liked him at Penn State. I thought a case could have been made. He was, if I redid my top 4, I would have, and just to rank the top 4 offensive linemen, Steve, I would have replaced Blake Miller with him as my fourth best. If I was just rating offensive linemen.
I think I would have liked to move him up too.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he was really, really strong in the run game at guard. He was blocking for 2 pretty solid backs in Katron Allen and Nick Singleton. He pulls well. He's actually isn't that bad in pass pro on the interior. Maybe quickness could be a little bit of a question, but overall, I just think he's dominant. He's putting people on their can. He's a really good, as I say, on that interior, really good run blocker. This will really be a solid move on that interior of the offensive line. I think Derrick Henry's really going to like this pick.
Oh, yeah.
I think Lamar Jackson's should
he'll
like
be
this
open.
pick.
Yeah, he had 15 starts at left guard for Penn State. Yeah, Derrick Henry's going to love it. He already can get through the holes, and with this guy in front of you, 6'5", 320 pounds,
Yep.
expect Henry not to slow down by any means, Dave.
Yeah, 15 starts at left guard. That season spiraled out of control after their loss, to Oregon at home last year. But I always thought he continued to play really, really good football as the season moved along. Again, he was really good for that Penn State running game that was really strong with Allen and Singleton.
They're also saying that Lamar Jackson has lost a step. Believe it or not, one of the best running quarterbacks of all time the league has to offer. And Jackson, he got hit a lot last year. He got injured. They're saying he's still really good, one of the best in the whole league, but he's lost a step or two. So I think he had to go offensive lineman. And what better player to pick than this guy for Penn State?
Yeah, you take a look at it. They're pretty solid at tackle with Stanley and Roger Rosengarten, but you lose Linderbaum on the interior. You take a look at their interior; it could be a little bit stronger. Be interesting to see if he's a guy that gets to play early. What kind of an impact he can have, especially with a team that likes to run the football and has had a really strong running game the last couple seasons.
Steve, your side chick team is coming up there, the Tampa Bay Bucks. I know
Tampa Bay.
you like to go to Tampa Bay and have vacations and go to the games and cheat on the Browns. I know you like to cheat on the Browns.
Wow. Just
saying, Steve. What do you think about this Tampa Bay pick? I mean, what are you leaning toward there?
Gosh, could they get some protection for Baker? I think that they should go offense. I'm like, how about the Monroe Freeling pick? That might not be a bad one.
Freeling could be a good pick here. If I'm Tampa, I could look at wide receiver too. Obviously Mike Evans out the door. But I think that this is a team that really could look at the defensive side of the football.
Yeah.
I think they have some major needs on that side of the ball, Steve.
Yeah, that was the biggest problem. I don't want to put all the blame on Baker like people have done in the past. This defense needed a lot of work. My parents, they live down there in Winter Haven, so they're watching. They watch every Browns game, of course, but they watch as much Tampa football as they can. And my dad has been saying that their defense is just bad. Like,
Yeah.
Now I was saying lineman. Now I'm reversing my pick personally is they got to go defense. And who's some of the best guys? I mean, you got the corner Jermod McCoy out of Tennessee. You got Reuben Bain.
Bain could be a pick here.
Reuben Bain may be a good fit with Tampa.
I was going to say Tampa's defense has been really suspect in the last so many years. I mean, I remember them. They're always in a shootout. Am I right, Steve?
Yeah, they do. They have to get better defense. Baker's just gonna have to wait on another receiver or lineman. They're gonna have to go defense. They got to get this defense better. It struggled all year. Even my mom told me, and she watches some football, but she's like, Steven, their defense, they don't do it. It's like, man, can't you stop a team like?
Well, I do think edge. I think Reuben Bain could be the really good player. It could be the really pick here as far as an impact player. If you're looking at an edge guy that can get to the quarterback, he really came on in the playoff last year for Miami. I believe he led all of college football in hurries or pressures last year. Really good pass rusher, and they could use. I mean, it starts with the ability to get to the quarterback. And I would not be surprised. Corner could also be a position maybe one of those Tennessee corners. But I think they need a presence on that D line, Steve.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Reuben Bain Jr. Best edge guy, but he's slipping in this draft. I mean, I don't know if you heard he was involved in a car accident, and then unfortunately, someone passed away, and maybe that could be partially a reason the teams. But what I was hearing is all the teams heard about this ahead of time.
Yep.
Someone's going to give him a shot, but I think that's why he's sliding. I know they were concerned about arm length, things like that.
Yeah.
But I think that's why he slid down this draft too, because that's just a tough scenario, even for Reuben himself. I mean, obviously he didn't mean to do anything. God forbid something like that happened.
Sure. Well, I'll tell you what, led all players in quarterback hurries last year in college football. I think he's, an impact guy that could really, jumpstart that pass rush a little bit. I think it'd be a solid pick. Again, I would not be surprised maybe for them to look at corner, but, that the other thing, too, is already, the best corner's already off the board.
And the commissioner about to reveal the 15th pick for the Tampa Bay Bucks. And they go Reuben Bain.
They did it?
Yep, it's off the board
All right,
now, guys. He's going to Tampa Bay. Reuben Bain.
Guys, I'm feeling good about this pick. I liked him. I had him as my top defensive guy. He's got elite leverage and power, multiple polished rush moves. I mean, he's got the relentless motor. I mean, this guy, he's a big game performer. I mean, remember how I talked about him before, Dave? I mean, he gets to the quarterback. He's tough, physical. I mean, this guy, I think he should have went sooner. I think Tampa kind of got a steal.
A lot of people had him in the top 10 to 12 of this draft, so I think they may have. I know the arm length is a concern, but you take a look at it. I thought he came on in the postseason. He took advantage of some weaknesses on the Ohio State offensive line and only had 1 sack in that game, but it seemed like he was living in the backfield. Had another solid game in the national championship game with 8 total tackles and a sack against Indiana. So I thought he played really well in the playoff and really helped himself. He really came on towards the end of the year last year, Steve. He had 3 sacks late in the year. Actually, in the first playoff game against Texas A&M, he was incredible. They couldn't block him. Last regular season game of the year against Pitt, he had a sack and a half. So this is the type of pass rusher they could be looking for. Remember when they got on that Super Bowl run? They had that Shaq Barrett combination with Pierre Paul that was really good when they made their Super Bowl run there with Brady in the COVID year. So having really strong edge guys always helps in the NFL, Steve.
Oh yeah, and this guy he's your certified junkyard dog type player. The guy's just a beast. He's polished. And let's see, he's got a nasty chop rip move.
Yeah,
a violent hump move.
Yeah, it's not just his physical skills. He's a guy that's got a bag. He's got some moves that he can utilize to get by tackles. He's fairly polished for a pass rusher, which is something I really like.
Okay, the New York Jets are on the clock. I guess the pick is in. We will find out here momentarily with the Jets. See what they end up getting. We're at number 16, guys. This is moving right along.
Might be time to look at the offensive side of the ball if you're the Jets. Now that Freeling is still out there at the offensive tackle. Their offensive line was one of the worst in the NFL. I think they could use some real help there. So we'll have to see what they.
Because who's their quarterback? Is it true that Geno Smith's back there again?
Yeah, I mentioned that earlier when I'm mistaken the Cardinals.
The guy threw the most interceptions in the league last year for the Raiders. So can we get him a lineman? How about let's X out every other position? Can this guy get an offensive lineman so he cannot throw interceptions?
I told you I was big on Geno, and then he stunk up the joint last year. But then again, that Raiders team was pretty pitiful. I think that was like a JV team. Bad News Bears. That was rough.
Yeah, I actually think that Tampa may have gotten the best defensive player still left on the board here, Steve. So I think this is a really good move for the Bucs.
Yeah, I think he's going to be better than some of those guys that were picked ahead of him. That is my opinion. I mean, we'll see how it all works out. But I think Reuben Bain's going to be a really good player. Because remember, I had him as my top defensive prospect, Dave. And going into this draft.
Yeah, this was, this is a Tampa team that needs some pass rush last year. They did not necessarily, have a dominant pass rusher a year ago. So, I mean, this is an area of need for this particular team.
I wouldn't want to be in his way. Look at him. He's a big guy. He's got his sunglasses on. He's a bad dude.
Yeah, I think he made a lot. I think he made a lot of money with that end of the season, postseason run that he had. The Texas A&M game, the Ohio State game, the championship game against Indiana. So I think he only helped his draft status with that. I know we had the off the field issue and people. Mm-hmm. The arms are doubt, but if you take a look at the tape, he was a very, very productive player there, especially towards the end of the year.
All right, guys, the commissioner with the New York Jets. And they get Kenyon Sadiq, Oregon, tight end. There you guys they're talking about that top tight end there out of Oregon. He's off the board there. He's going to the New York Jets. Dave Greenshield, what are your thoughts?
I love this guy. Actually, I think he's like one of those guys that can be a nightmare matchup. Last year was kind of the year for tight end. We had Colston Loveland, we had Harold Fannin Jr. with our own Browns. Mm-hmm. Tyler Warren had a really nice impact with the Colts last year. I think Kenyon Sadiq is that type of guy. I love his measurables, 6'3", 241 pounds. He runs really good routes. He's got good hands. 4.39 speed in the 40s. So, again, all the skill set to be one of the better pass-catching tight ends in college football. First-team All-American. I really, really, really like this guy. He could be a little bit better on the blocking side, but you look at him, going down the seam there, catching a touchdown. I mean, he's
your offensive weapon. Yeah, don't expect him to block. Expect him to catch touchdowns.
Right. I think that these type of tight ends, Kyle Pitts was a guy that a lot of people were high on coming out of Florida. I remember a few years ago, it was kind of
Atlanta.
It disappointed a little bit here. But I think this is a guy, it's interesting, you see him, he can go up and get it, good route running, the hands are great. He was just a nightmare matchup, whether it be safeties, whoever you put on him. Obviously, linebackers weren't covering him. So, this was easily the best tight end in college football last year. I think this is a good move.
Fast for a tight end, too, Dave.
I actually think the Jets so far are a solid draft. Best tight end, best pass rusher. If you're Aaron Glenn, I think you got to be pretty happy. Mm-hmm. I know we're going to pick our team that had the best draft in our draft wrap-up show. And the Jets, really good start here with these first two picks.
Yes, the Detroit Lions are about to pick here. And any thoughts, Steve Retzer, on what the draft the Lions could take here?
The Detroit Lions, I think they may want to go defense on this.
I'm torn both ways, Steve. Either edge, maybe O-line. That O-line is kind of weakened. Taylor Decker gone. Frank Ragnow, I believe, retired. I mean, this is a team that could be in desperate need of offensive line help. You remember, a couple of years ago, 2024, this was one of the two best offensive lines when it was fully healthy.
Yeah.
Along with the Philadelphia Eagles, who went on to win the Super Bowl that year. Now it's a bit of a concern. So, I mean, do you take the tackle to replace...
Maybe the Monroe Freeling.
We keep on talking about Monroe Freeling, but Taylor Decker is gone. So, I think you could use an edge opposite of Aiden Hutchinson. I know Bain's teammate, Mesidor, is still out there.
Yeah, he's still available.
I mean, that could be a possibility. I would just bottom line, I would not be surprised to see this team, Brent, address either side of the line of scrimmage. Whether it be O-line or D-line. I think it's probably going to be. I'm going to say one of the two.
And guys, just a little bit of a look ahead here at the Cleveland Browns at pick 24.
Right.
I am thinking, those receivers are there with the Omar Cooper and you got the other gentleman there.
Makai Lemon is the guy. I don't know if he'll fall to 24. I think somebody's going to snatch Lemon up.
Well, I was thinking of Denzel Boston.
I like Boston a lot. I like Boston.
He's 6'3". Let's see Lemon here. Let's see where he's at on my board.
Yeah, he's out of USC. A lot of people had him as like the top 5 receiver in this draft, possibly, Brent. He was uber productive last year at USC. I really did like him. Actually ended up, I believe, winning the Biletnikoff Award last year. for the best wide receiver in college football. Casey Concepcion is a guy that people really like at Texas A&M. So I would not be surprised to see them go there. Yeah, Lemon was an interesting pick out of USC. A lot of people think he's undersized.
Yeah.
But I actually love his production last year. Especially his ability to run routes, get open, good hands. If this guy was 6'2" or 6'3", he'd be probably everybody's best receiver in this draft. But, unfortunately for him, he is not. Just kind of pulling up his numbers from a year ago, 79 catches, 1,156 yards, and 11 touchdowns, Brent.
Yeah.
So, again, I love him. Just wish he was a little bit taller. I don't know, though, if he makes it to 24 for the Browns, though. I think Lemon goes somewhere but before that, Steve.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I think he will go before 24.
Yeah, what I'm telling you guys, I think Dave kind of mentioned it earlier in the cast. The wide receiver, we thought maybe initially the wide receiver would be the earlier pick, and then the O-line, it got flipped.
Yeah.
You kind of mentioned that.
Well, bottom line, Brent, once Carnell Tate went off the board,
that changed the course.
Yeah, Tyson then went off the board. Jeremiah Love, of course, off the board. You're in a position where you take a look at really, 1A. Some people say it's 1A, 1B position of needs was O-tackle and wide receiver. I think it was a little bit more clear-cut wide receiver than offensive tackle, but
yeah,
I don't have a problem with them taking a guy I thought that was the best offensive lineman in this draft.
And to be honest, just looking at it, I know you get the Boston guy. I like the 6'3" guy there.
Yeah, 6'3", 205. Super productive wide receiver last year at Washington. Touchdowns, really good hands. Caught 7 TDs.
The Lions pick is in the commissioner about to reveal.
Either way, O-line, D-line, I'm thinking here. So we'll see what move they make, either for the edge or maybe the offensive tackle.
Dan Campbell, some extra help there.
Yeah. This is a roster that I thought kind of peaked in 2024. Now it's got some questions. They had some.
Yeah, probably should have took care of business with Frisco.
Yeah.
That's always going to come back to get you.
Yeah.
And the pick is in.
It'll be interesting. Let's take a look.
Yeah, they go Blake Miller. There
yes.
you go. Yeah.
Blake Miller, he was my fourth offensive tackle.
Yeah.
Pride of Strongsville, Ohio. Interesting pick, by the way. I really liked him coming out of Clemson. He was a longtime starter at Clemson, offensive tackle. Got a lot of starts underneath his belt. Thought he was a really good run blocker. Maybe could use a little bit in the pass pro department. I actually had him as my fourth-rated tackle. But this is a solid move. This team had to replace Taylor Decker. They needed another tackle. I would have gone Monroe Freeling here. I had Freeling third.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
And then I
thought they were.
I had Blake Miller fourth amongst my tackles. But again, I think he's a really good run blocker. I think he moves his feet fairly well. This is a guy I wanted Ohio State to get in recruiting. This was yet another offensive tackle from the state of Ohio that went to Clemson, by the way. They lost another offensive tackle, Jackson Carman, who was drafted, ended up going to Clemson. But, local product here who went to Clemson, ended up being a very solid player for them. And I had a feeling was going to go somewhere in the first round. I thought a little bit high. I thought he was maybe more towards the end of the first round. This was a guy I thought the Browns might have been targeting at that 24th pick, Brent. So... But, filling a need here if you're the Detroit Lions, especially at the offensive tackle position. Thought that they might also take a look at edge. As I said, Akeem Mesidor could have also been the pick there, too.
And don't forget Keldrick Falk of edge from Arbor. That's the guy I had.
Minnesota Vikings are
the Vikings
going to get a pick here.
quarterbacks. I think it would be more likely on day 2 than here in the first round.
All right. And Caleb Banks there, out of Florida. There we go. The Vikings
Caleb
pick is
Banks.
in.
Yeah, interesting pick here, Brent. I had Caden McDonald was my number 1 defensive tackle on the board here. This is interesting for Minnesota, trying to shore up the defensive side of the ball. I liked this defense a lot last year. I thought that it's a little bit of a reach here. I had him more towards the end of the first round, early second round kind of pick. But, he was a fairly productive player at Florida. He had 4 sacks last year, 6 TFLs. Great size, 6'6", 327. Overall, I think he plays the run really well. I think this is a good move to probably help improve that run defense in Minnesota. I would have liked Cade McDonald. He was my highest rated defensive tackle on the board. I'm a little surprised they went this high at defensive tackle, Steve.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Dave. I had him falling further down the board. I mean, this guy, he's got a massive frame, good run stopper, as he should be, good gap control and push. He's surprisingly quick for his size, which is a good thing. I think he can do a good job. I mean, he's 6'6", 327. Minnesota, they do need some defense, I think, and this guy should help. Some are saying that he'd be a day 2 run stopper, but apparently the Vikings think that he'd be good here at pick 18, and we'll see what he can do for Minnesota here.
Yeah, they actually probably could stand to improve a little bit on stopping the run last year. Overall, I thought that they had some real talent in that front 7, but they probably could have used some help. I know D-line was one of the areas that they were looking at from a year ago. Again, Cade McDonald was my number 1 defensive tackle. That's who I would have gone with.
Yeah, Ohio State.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think he was a lot of people's number 1 defensive tackle on the board. A lot of people had him come maybe late in the first round. And that's where pretty much everybody had Caleb Banks mocked, was maybe towards end of the first
Very
round.
end of the first
round.
Or
So
the beginning of the second.
I mean, I guess that just shows if you have a need, if you like the player and you need it, to fill that position, you take him.
Mm-hmm.
And again, a defensive tackle out of the SEC are always coveted guys. We've seen that in the past with the Jalen Carters of the world.
Oh yeah, Jalen Carter,
Yeah,
great
people
out of
like
Georgia,
that.
right?
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people like this guy because he sheds blocks. He's got really good quickness. Again, he's really strong against the run. It's just going to be interesting to see. Minnesota runs that 3-4 defense. Does he fit in right there early on at that defensive tackle spot and really help to improve that run defense? That's what's going to be interesting for me to see. Yeah, but they certainly could have used some help at defensive line because I think more of their strength is really at the linebacker position.
Yeah, I guess they say that Banks is best suited for the 3-4 scheme, so that could help right in Minnesota.
Exactly. Our boy, the guy that we liked a lot to come coach the Cleveland Browns.
Absolutely. Oh, I'm a big fan, Minnesota.
Yeah, I know you. I know you like O'Connell a lot.
Yeah, Kevin O'Connell.
Kevin O'Connell, you love that. You love their head coach.
You love the quarterback, J.J. McCarthy.
J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah, Dave,
Well,
I mean...
not so much.
Dave, can we talk about
Well,
that?
we got a McCarthy and Kyler Murray thing. It's a thing, Dave. I guess it's going on.
Yeah,
now.
but I just want to, he put a lot of wagers on JJ, and some didn't go so good, did they, Dave?
Not so much.
But you know what? JJ did
Sorry, sorry, buddy. He's a little.
No,
JJ
it's okay.
did beat
Yeah.
your Chicago Bears at the beginning.
Yeah,
of the
Yeah,
year.
he got off to a good start.
He won.
So
I
did.
think it was like a baseball score, 6-3 or
Then he
something.
had a real bad first half, then second half. Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
He ran one in. He threw a touchdown,
Yeah,
and
I know.
Everyone's going wild.
I just love talking
Minnesota.
about JJ, and just the success, and can't you be more like JJ? So. Anyway.
Well, yeah. I mean, honestly, the biggest thing. No, I mean, I love O'Connell, but the real guy that we love on this staff is Brian Flores.
That's what I was just thinking. Yeah, Brian
we love
Flores.
Brian Flores, who was my leading candidate to be the Cleveland Browns defensive coordinator. it's going to be interesting to see how he utilizes them in his defense. They had a good defense last year. I thought they at times were really good at rushing the passer, and he's a really good coach. They needed help on the defensive line. They needed to improve their run defense. Probably a good place to start. I would have gone Caden McDonald, but
All right, guys, the Carolina Panthers, their pick is in, and we will go to the commissioner here. See what who the Panthers get at the
this
19 in the draft here, guys.
they had an interesting offseason. They made some interesting moves to kind of improve that roster. Some really good moves, I thought, too.
And they go Monroe Freeling, guys. This is Steve. You've been talking about this one for a while. You kind of hung in there a little bit. And what's your take on the pick for the Panthers?
Well, this guy out of Georgia, I think he should have been picked way earlier.
Yep.
He's 6'7", 315 pounds. He had 15 starts at left tackle, Brent. He only allowed 1 sack. He was All-American, SEC Lineman of the Year.
Yep.
He's known for his elite strength, length and size for a left tackle. I mean, this guy could be your guy for Carolina. They need, Bryce Young does need some protection, right?
Yep.
I mean, this guy could be the left tackle for the next 12 years, 13 years or so. He's a refined pass protector, good run game anchor. I mean, who's that? Chuba Hubbard and who's the other fella out of Carolina? Those guys should be able. He should be able to open up holes for those guys.
Okay, we got to trade, guys. The Eagles trading with the Dallas Cowboys. Philly receives number 20. Dallas gets number 23. I think it just cut off there, but some other later picks there. Yeah, 114, and there might have even been another one. But the Eagles are on the board because of a pick or because of a trade with the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that, the Carolina Panthers really needed some help on that offensive line, Steve. It was not one of the better ones in football last year. I thought Freeling was easily the best offensive lineman left on the board. I thought he should have gone way higher. I had him above, Caden Proctor and even
the Penn
Blake
State
Miller.
guy, Olavega. Yeah.
So I think it's a really strong move for them to solidify that offensive line. Again, I think he's going to be a really good player.
Great pick by Carolina.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Ooh, the Eagles.
Makete Lemon there. Got the pick is in. Wide receiver, USC, guys. We've been talking about him for a little bit, right, Dave?
Yes.
A Lemon pick. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I really think this is actually, a no-brainer pick. It's been rumored, Steve, I don't know if you've heard, that they're going to trade A.J. Brown to the New England Patriots, in June. Why it's announced now, I have no idea. We'll see if that still holds up. But I think there's a strong feeling that A.J. Brown's not going to be back in Philadelphia next year.
Yeah, I was hearing he's going to New England. I heard that, that's a done deal.
Yeah, I think Makete Lemon is a guy that was, just uber productive last year at USC. 79 catches, 1,156 yards, 11 touchdowns. He's a great route runner. He's got great hands. He just finds ways to get open, whether it's against zone, whether it's against man. Again, the issue with Makete Lemon is simple. It's just the size, 5'11". People always want their wide receivers, Brent, to be 6'2" or taller. That's the
Absolutely.
issue. That's the issue.
And we all know, being a Browns fan, that the short receivers have not really panned out for us.
Yeah, he is the opposite of A.J. Brown. He's the opposite of A.J. Brown. He's not the big-bodied, tall receiver who's going to go up and get it, but he is capable of winning one-on-ones with his quickness and just his route running ability. Again, he'll find the open spots in zone. And I think he's going to be a solid pick. Now, is he a slot guy? Can he play outside in the NFL with that?
Slot guy.
Yeah, he might be more of a slot guy.
With A.J. Brown going to be gone, I think Devontae Smith has got to take over as that number one receiver.
Right.
Can Makete Lemon come in and be that slot number 2 receiver? That'll be a good question. But Jalen Hurts really needed some weapons. I mean, there's been a lot of talk in Philadelphia. People are getting upset a little bit.
Well, they didn't close the season well last year. It was a disappointing loss to the San Francisco 49ers. He did not play particularly well. They had to replace the offensive coordinator, which was a no-brainer. They did. A.J. Brown was pretty much a malcontent pretty much all of last season.
Yeah.
Didn't want to be there. It looks like he's on his way out. And obviously, he's been one of the more productive receivers in the NFL. He helped that team win a Super Bowl. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
It's probably time for him to move on. It's time for the Eagles to find another threat at wide receiver, and that threat's going to be Mekhi Lemon.
Hey, guys, just to follow back up with the trade, the
Yes.
Eagles and the Cowboys, this is what happened. The Eagles sent picks number 23, 114, and 137 to the Cowboys in exchange for number 20 and a 7th-round pick. Wow. I'd say Dallas kind of made out on that deal. The fact they got all those picks from the Eagles, they're trying to work on their depth. So that's what kind of went down on that trade because it did get cut off.
Yeah.
When we were looking at that earlier.
See, this is the area that I like. He can make people miss. That's what I like. You can saw a little bit of run after catch. Love his hands. Love his route running ability. I just don't know if he's a pure number 1, number 2 wide receiver in the NFL, an outside guy. I think he's more of that slot.
Yeah.
Kind of like 3rd down type receiver that moves the chains that on 3rd and 6 get you 7 yards.
Right.
I just don't know if he's a pure number 1 or number 2, which is why, I had him ranked fairly high. That was a little bit by default because really after Carnell Tate, I was not in love with this wide receiver class. I think that there was a bunch of number 3s, maybe number 2s.
Oh, yeah, you had him ahead of Jordan Tyson.
I did because of the injury
injuries,
concern. Now, I might re-rank that if I had it to do over again, but man, I just looked at
I had Lemon as my 3rd.
Yeah, but when I looked at that injury list for Jordan Tyson, there were just too many concerns. The guy was getting hurt every year. I know that the physical skill's there. I know when he was on the field, he was a productive player, but that's why I ranked Mekhi Lemon higher. So,
All right, guys, Pittsburgh Steelers, the pick is in, and we will go to the commissioner, Roger Goodell.
And this is in Pittsburgh, so they're going to be about to
Yeah,
go nuts.
everybody-
You're going to see a lot of terrible towels throwing around. Are they going to be happy or sad? I guess we'll see.
well, they're going to be happy or sad.
Don't take one of our receivers because the Browns need a receiver.
Well,
so
they need help there. They need help on the O-line.
Oh, they definitely need receivers, guys.
Yeah, wide receiver could be an interesting.
There's rumorville of Omar Cooper of Indiana possibly
Possibly.
going to Pittsburgh.
Well,
I don't want them to take Denzel Boston.
The Browns could still be in position. Yeah, waving the towel.
They're just waving it around.
Well,
you got anything over here, Brent? We can wave it around.
Well, the big thing they're waiting on is Mr. Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Will he be back
Aaron
next
Rodgers
year?
says
He'll be back. He'll be back.
You think so?
Yeah, he'll be back. Yeah.
Okay.
I thought he was supposed to.
Is he going on another psychedelic retreat?
Yeah, he's not at the draft. He's probably in Africa or so. He's somewhere out of the country.
Steve and I like talking about his.
He likes mushrooms.
Yeah. Is that a conversation we should have right now,
the
guys?
cactus?
Maybe it'll be another time, right, Dave?
Let me check my pizza. I want to make
You're like Brent. We can't go down that road right now with talking about Mr. Rogers and his psychedelics.
Yes,
Oh my God,
please.
Guys, this is
Oh,
always
my
the pick. This is always the pick I don't look forward to in the draft because it's our main nemesis, and they always seem to pick a guy I've heard of, and they always do well.
Look at that guy. There's some talent there on the screen.
if they get back Aaron Rodgers, then it's just a matter of what you're going to surround Aaron Rodgers with. Now, they could look at O-line, they could look at wide receiver. I actually don't think that defense is getting any younger. I think Watt and Hayward are towards the back end of that career, especially Hayward. But again, the Michael Pittman, move.
But look who the coach is now. This is not a Mike Tomlin head coach team anymore. You're looking at Mike McCarthy, an offensive-minded guy.
Yeah, McCarthy.
They've had a hard time with offensive coordinators, now your head coach is your coordinator, basically.
You've got two kind of big wide receivers in Pittman and DK Metcalf. They've got a slot in Roman Wilson. I don't think their wide receiver position is bad. I would not be surprised
here comes the terrible towels.
Oh, yeah, here they are.
Look at that, guys.
I would not be surprised if it was an offensive lineman.
The bus.
Or a defensive player. An offensive lineman or a defensive player.
The pick is in.
Maybe a linebacker.
We go to the commissioner. Do not take a receiver, right, Steve? Do not do that.
I know. I don't want them doing that.
I thought getting Pittman kind of helped
They
them
like
there.
defense. Let's see if they go D.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a receiver.
I would not be surprised to see if it was a linebacker of some kind or, again, offensive line.
They're going to make the bus, make the pick. 'Cause 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 'Cause
going to be interesting. Get the whole crew out there.
Yeah, get the whole
Where's
Pittsburgh.
TJ Watt?
Yeah.
All those towels. I believe the Bless is now giving some kind of a speech before he just makes an announcement on who the Steelers are
The
going to
pick
take.
is in.
All right, here we go.
Hey, Max. Anchor there from Arizona State.
Yeah, defensive
Wow.
tackle, which I find to be a very interesting pick there.
Offensive tackle, Arizona
Offensive
State?
tackle.
Offensive tackle,
I'm
Arizona
sorry, that
State.
was offensive tackle. Pardon me. I thought this was an interesting pick. A lot of people had him mocked more in the second round from what I saw. He would not have made even my top 5 tackles. But Miller gone, Freeling gone, Fano gone, Francis gone. All the major Blake Miller gone.
He might have been one of the better.
Caleb
linemen.
Lomu is the guy I could have made the case for, the other Utah offensive tackle who I thought was more towards the end of the first round. But again, 14 starts at right tackle, all Pac-12, only 3 sacks allowed, so pretty solid in pass pro. This was a Steeler offensive line that was lacking a year ago. I thought Broderick Jones at the left tackle spot hasn't necessarily been, a solid rock there. This will be interesting to see, what tackle spot that he occupies. Is it going to be that left tackle or that right tackle spot? They could have an opening there at that right tackle spot opposite of Jones. So it'll be interesting to see if he's a guy that gets a chance to get on the field early there in Pittsburgh, because they do need help on the offensive line. I was thinking that they were pretty solid at wide receiver, so offensive line and linebacker was I was leaning. They went offensive tackle, Steve.
I think this guy could start right away.
And this guy wasn't even. Go ahead, Steve.
I think you want to please Aaron Rodgers too. This makes a statement. Like, look, Mike McCarthy says we want you back, Aaron, and they coached and played together, and what do? They get you a nice tackle. This guy, like we said, out of Arizona State, 14 starts at right tackle, allowed 3 sacks.
He was projected to be a later pick, so he didn't even show up for the draft. He was projected second round.
I was more of a fan of Lomu. Pittsburgh actually, was fairly solid as the season moved along in pass pro. I think this offensive line I thought played a little bit better, maybe towards the end of the year. Obviously, they had to run up against that great Houston pass rush in the playoff game, and blocking Will Anderson and Nadell Hunter is never necessarily a thing you want to do if you're an offensive tackle in this league. You don't want to see that dynamic duo. I guess to solidify the offensive line, giving Aaron Rodgers another, pass protector, it never hurts.
And this is a guy I actually didn't hear a whole lot on, so I guess I'll rephrase my statement. Usually they come out with a big name player, in their first round picks, usually year after year.
All right, guys, the Chargers pick is in, number 22.
I wouldn't be surprised to see this maybe be offensive line.
Hey, you got to get my boy Herbert some weapons, because he's got to get off the island.
He's been on the island way too long, right?
Is he still hanging out with that volleyball?
Oh, my.
They could look at defense, too. They could look at defense, or they could look at probably either line of scrimmage, I would say. A line, maybe D-line here.
I'm going to say this will be a defensive pick.
Okay. Mesidor could be a good pick here. The other defensive edge guy out of Miami. Could be
don't forget Keldrick Falk is still available.
Keldrick Falk would be a really good choice, Steve. I could go with one of those two as the edge guys.
My pick is in. And the Chargers took Akeem Mesidor.
I'd like to keep Mesidor.
Like the edge out of Miami. Dave, you like the pick?
Yeah, it was a debate between Mesidor and between Falk. Steve, I think we could have gone either way on this one here.
Yeah, this is the guy that's started opposite of Reuben Bain Jr. in Miami, right?
This was a team that had injuries at offensive tackle last year. That's why their pass pro was as bad as it was. I thought that they really could have gone either way If they would have gone with Lomu at offensive tackle, that wouldn't have been surprised me. But they could use some help with the pass rush, no doubt about it. This is a guy that can get after the quarterback. I love his get off. All ACC, 48 quarterback hurries last year, 4.5 sacks. He's got the measurables. Obviously a little bit underrated playing. They had those 2 really good bookends last year with him and Bain. So it's always good to have, those 2 bookend pass rushers. He was a guy that I also thought played really well in their playoff run too, Steve. So I think he earned his way off draft boards as the season moved along too there in Miami.
Yeah, no doubt.
Guys, we've got the Dallas Cowboys coming up here at number 23. Remember from that trade there with the Eagles. So we'll see what's going on. We got our Browns.
Right. Well, here's the thing. If you're the Browns, you're still in a well position to get either Boston or Omar Cooper. By the way, 2 of the top 4 receivers I had in my top 4. Or I would like, well, first of all, at Dallas, just real quick here, it's got to be the defensive side of the ball. Keep on going defense if you're Dallas.
Do they need a corner?
Well, they could go corner here, but you already got Caleb Downs at safety. Get a pass rusher. I think Falk is the pick here, Steve.
Okay, you like Keldrick Falk.
I like Keldrick Falk here. Yeah, I like the pass rusher. He had 8.5 sacks last year at Auburn. This is a team that needs to improve their pass defense. It starts with pass rush. You got Caleb Downs in the secondary. You could make a case for one of the Tennessee corners, Steve, but I think they need a pass rusher. I would go Falk.
You guys think the Denzel Boston? You don't think the Cowboys will scoop him up?
Interesting. The Pickens-Lamb combination. It's
they probably don't.
But
need
Boston's
to do that.
who I kind of like for Cleveland in the next pick.
Yeah, I mean this was a defense that gave up 30 points a game last year, Brent. They need defense.
Yeah, they need
they're gonna
defense.
need defense.
They couldn't.
They're in the Tampa. They got Tampa Bay Buck vibes.
Well, no, I think I told you they were in 2025. They were the 2024 version of the Bengals.
Yeah, I know. We talked.
Yeah, I mean,
you weren't wrong.
Yeah, I mean, they scored a ton of points and gave up a ton of points.
Yeah.
Remember how the Bengals were involved in all those shootouts?
And I would throw Tampa Bay in there too. Tampa Bay is another team that likes to get shootouts.
Right. It's your kind of fun football. Brent is all about the shootouts.
I like shootouts, and Dave would if
If
Dave
you
had
need
a
a run
choice.
stopper, Caden McDonald-
Listen. If Dave had a choice, he would make a movie, The Hot Tub Time Machine. He'd make the sequel and go back and force me to watch the 2000 Ravens in a Super Bowl.
No.
Am I wrong?
I split the baby.
Trent Dilfer?
I'll take 27-24 over 13-10. You'll take 41-38.
I will.
So we'll split the baby a little bit there, Brent.
No, I don't want to see the Ravens win 10-30. I don't think I can do
No,
that.
I still appreciate good offense and really good quarterback play. But you got to be able to get key stops in this league, and Dallas just couldn't do it last year. I mean, again, 40-40 on Sunday night. Steve watched Jacoby Brissett carve up that defense.
Carve him up, man.
Yeah, this is a team that's in really dire need of a pass rush. And I think Keldrick Falk would be the obvious pick here as far as,
Best player available on the edge.
Yeah, exactly. And it was productive last year at Auburn again. Solid year. I mean, you wish you'd have had a little bit more, maybe consistent, production out of him, maybe multiple years. But, yeah, he would be the guy that I would be targeting. Yeah, this actually was a good draft for edge guys, Steve. When you looked at Bain, Mesidor, Reese adjusts as an edge. Obviously, David Bailey, the star.
Bailey, yeah.
So yeah, I would say that if this was a draft where you needed pass rush, those are 5 guys right off the top, that you can find it in this draft. We talked about the emphasis being on defense. So
there's 2 good defensive tackles available. I don't know if Dallas wants that.
I'm not saying Cade McDonald.
McDonald.
Yeah, I can make the case for Cade McDonald because their run defense really struggled. But, again, premium on pass rush leads me more towards Falk. I tell you, a player, if I'm the Bills, I would love to see Cade McDonald fall to Buffalo. Remember how bad their run defense was a year ago?
Oh, yeah, it was.
It was awful.
Even the Browns did pretty good, right?
Yeah, we gutted them on the ground.
Yeah.
And that was their weakness going into the playoffs. I remember you talking, you didn't think that was one of the better Bills rosters that Josh Allen had.
No, it was not.
Into the playoffs.
But it wasn't the worst, though, either.
No, it was probably somewhere in the middle of the playoff
Yeah.
rosters. But they had that weakness, which was the defensive side of the ball. And
Yeah.
remember, they couldn't get a stop on Bo Nix late in that game when
Yeah.
they needed it. Of course, they had a couple of turnovers in that playoff game that cost them. But
The Dallas Cowboys pick is in, guys.
here we go.
And the commissioner, I think it was the 23rd pick. We get to our Cleveland Browns, and
24, yeah.
I'm excited about that. Mm-hmm. Steve, they better get the offensive side of the ball, the Browns,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Here we go, the commissioner, 23rd pick.
Raj.
All right, Roger.
Here we go.
Man, Malachi Lawrence there.
Interesting.
Got an edge guy, UCF.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually am surprised by this. I would have picked Keldrick Folk. Lawrence is a solid player. 10.5 sacks last year at UCF. Yet another productive edge guy. 4 forced fumbles, 13 TFLs. The numbers are solid. I think he's a really good pass rusher. Really good quickness, high motor. Got those qualities that you want in a good edge guy. I just think that I like Keldrick Folk a little bit more playing in the SEC. Maybe I value 8.5 sacks a little bit more in the SEC than I do at UCF. So that's why
This guy had 10.5 sacks, but not in the definitely not SEC or anything strong like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I shouldn't demean the UCF guy. I mean, again, he's got really good physical tools. Playing off blocks well. He can play the run a little bit. But, again, Dallas needs pass rushers. I love the Caleb Downs pick. I like the Malachi Lawrence pick, but again, I was a little bit higher on Folk here, Steve.
I was too. I had him listed in
a little
one
bit
of my
higher.
top edge rushers.
A little bit higher, and then I actually could have made a case for Caden McDonald because again, this defense was just pathetic against the run too last year.
Yeah.
So I mean, they could have used some help to stop the run. Obviously, worst defense in points allowed, so they need a lot of help in a lot of areas. So again, if he can give him a pass rusher, post Micah Parsons. That will definitely help them. Again, I think they've got one A, 1B best defensive players in the draft in Caleb Downs. We'll see.
Didn't they get Rashawn Gary from Green Bay or?
No, they had made the move to the trade that they had made last year. Personally, I had thought with Green Bay. I thought you're right, Steve. They had gotten Kenny Clark as part of the trade, but they did get Rashawn Gary in the offseason. Good call.
Yeah. So that's it.
My bad. Yeah, and then they made the big trade with Quentin Williams.
Yes. Okay.
So
okay.
This front seven could be looking. If Malachi Lawrence can give him a little bit of pass rush, then you had Rashawn Gary, Kenny Clark, Quentin Williams. This is looking like a better front seven in Dallas. They run that 3-4 scheme. It's going to be interesting to see how he does in the 3-4 there. I liked his production in college. Can he carry that over to the pros? Dallas needs a pass rusher. I mean, you take a look at it last year. Again, they couldn't get stops when they needed it. And this could be the guy that could help them.
Yeah. Well, the Cleveland Browns, our beloved Browns, I want receiver at this. I don't care. I don't want anything else. I want receiver. I'm interested in Denzel Boston because he's 6'3", a little taller. But Omar Cooper Jr. is available too.
Bottom line is, Steve.
Come on, can we get one of them? Flip a coin. Throw it in the air.
I'm looking at this too. The measurables
Can we get
are
a
really
receiver,
close, guys.
please?
This is a tough one.
I think I like Boston, but remember Dave Cooper was on the top 4 wide receiver list. So do you take Cooper or Boston?
Guys, I'm taking Boston.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just looking at what I'm seeing in front of me here.
Yeah, I was watching more.
You know what I mean, and you got the extra height there, and
a little more weight on him, a little bigger guy than
I see. Here's the thing. I like Omar Cooper's ability to run after catch. He was super productive. He was really good in the red zone last year. 13 touchdowns. Was a big Elijah Surratt was, I thought, the number 1 receiver there, but a lot of people liked Omar Cooper more coming into this draft. He's a guy I'm big on. I also like Boston. Boston's been productive the last 2 years. I thought Williams, the quarterback there at Washington, was inaccurate at times.
Yeah.
And not always giving him the best quarterback play in the world. So he was able to still be productive, not exactly with the best quarterback play. He didn't necessarily have the Heisman Trophy winner throwing him the football, Brent.
Yeah.
So, but Boston is that big-bodied receiver. He's that Michael Pittman, Mike Williams type that I talk about. So I'm not opposed.
I think I'm
Mike
going
Evans
Boston.
type too, maybe, or
What's that?
is he similar? Could he be similar to a Mike Evans type?
I can't make that high a praise, but
But I mean, like taller, like bigger,
Yeah.
target, or
Yeah, I think I'm going Boston if I had to take one. But I'll tell you what, just looking at the stats here in front of me, you can go either way with it. You'll probably be okay.
yeah, either pick would be good. But I'm kind of leaning towards Boston too, Brian. So let's fingers crossed.
Yeah, let's see what we get.
I think Andrew Berry's going to have to,
Dallas
give
will-
Todd Monken some help. And Monken likes passing the ball, so you know what I mean. I think Coach Monken.
Yeah, Monken's going to go Boston.
Let's get one for Coach, okay? Let's get one for Coach. Let's go receiver here. You knew a couple of these guys would slide down, and they did. So we're not in the worst spot, right, Dave, that we could be in right now.
No, if you'd have told me, now I would have liked to have gotten Tate at 6 and Omar Cooper at Denzel Boston at 24 and waited on tackle to the second round. But hey, I'm good with either Boston or Cooper here. We'll see what the Browns
All
do.
right, guys, the commissioner.
Yep.
The pick is in.
Here we go.
KC
KC
Concepcion.
Okay, this-
definitely wasn't something we
I mean,
expected.
I wasn't thinking of him. Yeah.
No, a lot of people like him. Everybody loves his explosiveness.
Smaller guy though.
Yeah,
5'11" guys.
Undersized, 6 foot. I was a little. Probably would have had him 5th or 6th if we were expanding our list last week. We only had time to do a top 4, Steve.
Yeah, he's got the
Yeah.
speed.
Yeah, he's the gadget guy, speed guy. The Browns have tried this though. They've tried this. The Schwartzes of the past, Steve.
Yeah.
Boy, 5 foot.
I forgot
11.
about
The
him.
Corey Colemans. You know what I mean? The speed demons.
Dave, I'm sorry. I know I got to give the guy a shot, I guess, but 5'11", 196 pounds. Come on, that should be your starting.
I don't know,
starting
though.
corner.
Yeah,
I'm kind of liking this.
okay. Go, give it to me, Brent.
Explosiveness.
Yeah.
I see it. I think what they're saying is,
Oh, they're comparing him to like a Stephon Diggs. Okay,
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with you.
but he's a slot. And what did I say earlier? I wasn't really
yeah.
wanting to get a slot.
Yeah, you see, that's the thing is I think Cooper and Boston can play on the outside. That's the thing. I think Cooper and Boston.
You know what this pick's telling me too?
What's that?
That apparently Andrew Berry and the owner think that Todd Monken's like this offensive guru, which yes, he could be. I mean, we'll have to see. That means he has faith that Monken, Cedric Tillman's a taller receiver, so they have faith in him apparently, and Jerry Jeudy. So this KC Concepcion will be in the mix at slot.
You got
Tillman's a taller receiver. Then of course you got Jerry Jeudy, right?
Yeah,
So-
I like him. Again, he's a gadget player, so if you're on. If you're on that train,
He
go
would have
ahead.
been a good fit for last year. We were a gadget
Yeah, it sounds
team.
like to
Handed
me
the ball up.
that the pick isn't a bad pick. It just sounds like his frame. Can his frame hold up?
Well, yeah, that's why.
what it says here. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's why I was more on for Denzel Boston. Plus, I mean, Boston was productive last year. Over 70 catches, over 1,000 yards. I thought he was really,
He runs a good jet sweep. We did that a lot last year.
Hey guys, is this another?
I'm not
Browns-
happy to say it, but we did.
Does this give you like
And well,
another
Stefanski's not here anymore, so
another typical Browns draft where they just try to take the guy that no one else expects?
this is not a
God.
day so far.
Yeah, this is not as good. Last year's draft was better, right?
Yeah. So
well, last year's draft. Well, to be fair, we didn't know about last year's draft.
Yeah, that's true.
Just for the simple fact that, some people had. You look at Omar Cooper last year, 13 touchdown catches, 69 receptions, 937 yards. He was a guy I really liked. I liked the run after catch. I loved him in the red zone. I would have been extremely happy with him.
Yeah, this guy's my third choice. I mean, as you know, me and Brent just said we wanted Denzel Boston, and then Omar Cooper would have been my second choice. I don't know. I don't know. I guess I got to do some more homework on it. You know what I mean? I just don't feel. I don't feel satisfied with this pick. I'm a little disappointed. I hate to talk like that.
Brent was on it, and Brent's opinion is basically my opinion. Is that he's undersized. I mean, with Denzel Boston, you get 6'4". With Omar Cooper, you at least get 6'1".
I mean, I hope this isn't like a Corey Coleman with Hugh Jackson type. Remember when Hugh Jackson was like, I want the Coleman guy?
Yeah. I mean, the undersized.
Have we ever learned
the undersized speed demon wide receivers?
You know what they're doing.
Go ahead.
This is an undersized like T.O. They want this guy's got the speed. He can separate. Oh, you know what they're sick of, guys?
Yeah.
No separation. They want it. This guy.
Okay.
That's what they're going after, guys. They want, because you know why? All the Tate guy's gone. So they're looking for the speed guy that can separate. And let's be honest, he is not that tall, but he is about 6 foot.
Okay, you could say he's a speedier version of Mekhi Lemon, if you want to sell it that way. I mean, I get it, but and I'd heard Casey Concepcion's name rumored, but I thought I had Boston and I had Cooper ranked higher.
Sure.
Again, I believe they can play the outside. Big body receiver. They did. Your guy Cedric Tillman never necessarily worked out either, to Steve. By the way, I have to say that. But
or they have more faith in him.
What they're doing, what they did, guys, is they're looking for lightning in a bottle. They're thinking that this guy's got some upside, and it's gonna work out versus the other two. They're looking.
Was Zay Flowers kind of a speedster in Baltimore, or how would you say?
Well, but they run jet sweeps. They do some things with Zay Flowers too.
Maybe this is Todd Monken. I mean, Todd Monken was the offensive coordinator in Baltimore. Maybe he's thinking this is his Zay. Is this his Zay Flowers?
I actually, it's just. I'm sorry. If I'm the Cleveland,
are we satisfied, Dave?
No. Well, listen. I told you I like the Fano pick. I do like the Fano pick.
Yeah.
This one's a little suspect.
I think they got one of the 2 or 3 best offensive linemen in this draft. I think that's a solid pick.
Here's the deal. I'm with you guys. I wanted the other receivers, but I'm not ruling this guy out. But we're going to have to just see, guys, if this guy will pan out.
See, I mean, they try. I mean, maybe Cedric Tillman was a cautionary tale for not drafting Denzel Boston. I mean, what is Cedric Tillman? 6'3", 215, right? I mean, we've not gotten uber productivity after him. I mean, I still have the optimism in an Isaiah Bond. I mean, what is Isaiah Bond? He's 5'11", 180 pounds. So, I mean, you already took that to a certain extent with Bond.
Hey, if you would have met in the middle, you could have had Cooper from Indiana.
Yeah, Cooper
had
a little more speed than Boston. All right, guys, the Bears picks in.
Here we
go to the commissioner.
Okay.
This is going to be defense, I'm thinking, Brent.
Maybe a corner or safety. Let's see, what have we got?
Yeah,
safety.
Dylan Thunham in there. Oregon.
They just traded.
The Bears pick.
They traded Kevin Byard to New England, so he's back with Coach Vrabel. Should Coach Vrabel be around? So this guy's taking the Byard spot.
Safety at Oregon there.
Yeah, a lot of people had him as the second safety after Caleb Downs. Some people were unsure whether he would go in the first or early second. 4 picks last year. He had the game-winning interception at State College against Penn State on what was just an awful throw by Drew Aller, who tends to do that in big games. But at Penn State, I thought he was a very solid player at Oregon. Again, he's got the 4 interceptions last year, good speed, 4.3 and a 40, good solid coverage skills. The type of coverage guy maybe that the Bears are looking for to replace Byard. Byard had a huge year last year, Steve.
Oh, yeah.
For the Bears.
They got a lot of turnovers, and Byard was one of the biggest
the Bears,
reasons behind that.
The Bears were a team that lived off turnovers last year. I mean, I thought that the Bears had bigger fish to fry on defense. This was an area maybe I thought that they could have looked at, pass rusher or maybe a Caden McDonald at defensive tackle. But, I think they got the second best safety in the draft after Caleb Downs. So we're going to have to see. I mean, safety was a concern. I had edge maybe as a little bit more of a concern with them. But again, losing Byard, I guess you had to replace that production, right?
That's
Steve?
what I was thinking. So that's why I announced that right before the commissioner put the pick in. My first thought was the Bears need to replace Byard. So that's, in fact, what they did. This guy's a ball hawk. He's 4.3 elite speed. Coverage instincts and range is really good. He's athletic. I mean, this is a good pick, in my opinion, by the Bears. I think they did have to go defense because it seems like they went offense last year. That Colston Loveland.
Yeah, I mean, I actually think they're pretty solid on the offensive side of the ball, especially if that offensive line stays healthy and they can continue to run the football really well, give Caleb Williams that strong running game he had a year ago. But I do think that their needs were on the defensive side of the ball. I would have ranked edge as a slightly bigger need for the Bears. I thought that this was a situation where they could have used a pass rusher. Falk could have been the pick here.
They're comparing this guy, by the way, to Jordan Poyer, who was a former Cleveland Brown.
Yeah.
He's more known as a Buffalo Bill.
Right.
But I love Jordan Poyer for Cleveland.
Yeah.
And I think he did very well in Buffalo. So I think this guy's going to start and be ready to play right away. 6 foot, 200 pounds. Out of Oregon, as we just said. I think he'll start and be ready to play right away, Dave.
I just thought outside of Montez Sweat, they could have used another pass rusher.
Mm-hmm.
They also lost Edmonds in free agency at linebacker. I know they brought in the Browns' Devin Bush. This was a team that just needed help on defense. But again, you have Kobe Bryant, not the Kobe Bryant, but Cam Lewis here at safety. So you needed another safety to replace that lost production. Second best safety on the board. Solid pick. Just thought maybe edge might have been a slightly bigger concern for this team. I think we're still trying to digest the Browns wide receiver pick, by the way. I know I am.
It's tough because I know I told you guys this. I don't want a 5'11" or even a 6-footer, and that's what the guy is. And I don't want a slot receiver. I mentioned I don't want a slot receiver.
Yeah.
See, Cooper fits that bill of like the in between. 6 foot. You take a look at the measurables. The 6 foot, 201. Slightly over 200 pounds. Again, I love his run after catch. I love him inside the red zone with the 13 touchdowns. I think a productive guy in college. Really good year at Indiana last year.
Yeah, guys, there was a trade that just happened. The Houston Texans have traded with the Buffalo Bills. Houston gets pick number 26, which is right now, and number 91 in exchange for 28, 63, and 168. So that just happened, and Houston is about to pick.
The Texans needed offensive linemen terribly as you're ripping on my boy C.J. Stroud, who was actually your boy a few years back.
He was definitely my boy.
And then he became my boy. And
I just
now
can't believe he laid an egg.
Brent's got no faith in him.
I don't have faith in him anymore.
Well, they need
All right, guys, the commissioner.
Lineman. We need a lineman.
Got the commissioner here for the Houston Texans.
Who's available?
And Kalen Rutledge here out of Georgia Tech.
Got a
guard there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of people had him
You
as
said that little protection, Steve.
Yeah, they need some prep. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people had him as the second best guard maybe in this draft. I think that, people projected him more as a second round pick. The Texans need help on the interior. A lot of the tackles were already gone, Steve. So they probably looked at interior, 15 starts at guard, ACC all linemen, really strong in the run game for them. Again, really good in gap, going to be really good in the run game there in Houston. I think that CJ probably could have used a tackle, but the tough part is I think most of the tackles were already gone.
They're off the board. So Dave, this guy can play left and right guard, so he's versatile. So that's good, versatile.
I just thought after Tunsil, that offensive line, has really kind of gone downhill a little bit. And then, Titus Howard, is now the Browns' offensive tackle.
Yeah. So they lost. I'm into the Browns. Yeah.
Yeah,
Titus Howard.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Wyatt Teller playing the right guard position. It's interesting if he'll play that left guard position opposite of Teller.
But that would be interesting.
That was good. Those are your two starting. It could be your two starting. You could be starting right next to a former Cleveland Brown. So they get Wyatt Teller. So they get Teller from us, and we get their tackle.
Yeah.
We get Titus Howard. That's interesting.
I think Teller's the better player, but it just had to happen.
Titus Howard actually, he was fairly solid in pass pro. He was not the weak link of the Houston offensive line.
Wasn't he around even in the good Deshaun Watson days? Wasn't Howard there?
I think he's been there for a few years.
Okay.
But taking a look at his numbers in pass pro, he was not bad last year. So I think the Browns will have a solid right tackle. So I mean, if Howard is your one tackle, Spencer Fano is your opposite tackle, you've addressed the interior of the offensive line. It would only get better if Joel Bitonio comes back.
Yeah.
Then that offensive line really gets solidified. I'm not so sure if Isaiah Bond, Jerry Jeudy, and Casey Concepcion is my ideal group of wide receivers come next year. I would have felt a little bit better about a Boston or a Cooper. I'm on record as that. I'm good with the Fano pick. I'm not so good with the Concepcion pick. I think they could have done a little bit better.
Are you telling me that you're not okay with Munchkin Land when you watch Wizard of Oz? You don't like the Munchkins?
Jeez. Is that an edit coming, Brent? I mean,
you're right. I just.
We're gonna lose.
We might have to.
We're gonna lose the under 5'10" crowd.
Man!
I thought we were big in that demographic.
Oh my God!
I thought we were big in that demographic.
Oh, hey! By the way, just a fictional thing we're talking about. Nothing in real life. This is just it's about movies and. Just want to clear that up.
Yeah, way to smooth things over there.
Yeah. I know. Dave, I'm trying, buddy.
Yes,
I'm thinking about lions and tigers and bears. Oh my!
Wow.
Just I don't know. We're not. Oh
boy,
man!
It's that point of the evening, right, Brad?
I know. Oh
Gosh,
man!
we're already at pick 27. The Dolphins are going to be picking back.
It's interesting. The Dolphins address one side of the ball. Now, do they address the other side of the ball? Again, they had offensive and defensive needs, so
they need a little bit of everything.
Well, I mean, do they take a look at Boston or do they take a look at Omar Cooper here, Steve?
Gosh, they could.
I mean,
I'm hoping those guys slide.
Yeah,
the Browns at pick 39. Can one of those guys slide? there?
I mean, do they take a look at again? Could they take a look at edge? They could try edge. They could try Keldrick Falk. They could try Boston or Omar Cooper. I think if they tried one of those two guys, either get a good edge here or a really solid wide receiver in either Cooper or Boston, I think it would be a good pick.
Dave, you're still not feeling the wide receiver pick, are you?
No, Tate was a guy that separated myself from the rest of the wide receivers. Tyson's injuries, Lemon's size. Again, I was more on the Cooper Boston kind of
camp,
yeah. But
we'll have to get some more information on that. As far as why they did that, we'll get some post analysis.
Yeah,
there's some good corners still available, Dave.
The Tennessee corners are still available.
So you got Jermod McCoy still available at corner. You got Avion Terrell at Clemson. He's available.
All right, guys, the Dolphins pick is in. We will go to the commissioner. Number 27 here, the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, they could have some needs on both sides of the ball. I would not be surprised to see them, again, take a look at wide receiver or, take a look at an edge.
Chris Johnson, cornerback.
That's a corner.
Yeah, San Diego State guys. Dave, what's your thoughts on the Johnson pick?
Well, I had a couple of corners certainly higher. Me and Steve kind of just talked about that. I actually, again, I would have had Terrell. I would have had Colton Hood, Jermon McCoy, a little bit higher on my board. But, again, 5 picks last year, 8 pass breakups. A cornerback of the year in the Mountain West, so solid production. Obviously he can play press. He can play a little bit of off coverage. It'll be interesting to see how he adjusts from competition from the Mountain West. I'm a little bit more excited about SEC corners.
I know, Dave. What is going on? These guys from the small schools are
even
chosen above the guys from the big time schools.
Even
choosing this guy over a Tennessee guy.
Yeah, even Avion Terrell from Clemson. There were 3 corners that I would have had above him. I mean, those were the top 4 corners. Delane already went in the top 10 of the draft. All right, Buffalo trades the pick.
New England. Buffalo trades. New England's on the clock, guys. All kinds of trades today.
Yeah.
The pick is in. The Pats. Retzer's other team. He's got 5 teams, I think.
This is team 3.
And by the way, Coach
of Mike Vrabel, who's hopefully.
What's going on?
I had an update about Coach Vrabel. Just want to let you guys know.
We do have an update.
We have an update. He will not be at the draft for round 3 because he's going to have his he's getting a little counseling session from the incident with the wife and family. Did an intervention with them, and he's going to miss the draft. So he's going to have counseling about his little mix up with the reporter Rossini.
All right, we've got counseling inside here by Brent.
Yeah, Keaton. So they're going to have counseling, and he's just going to have to.
I think you'd be a good counselor, Brent.
Well,
counsel me pretty well, buddy.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. I like interventions,
He's like, can we get back to the draft?
Yes,
here?
I know, Dave. Dave's like, we gotta go. We gotta get out of here. My God, we're not gonna get emotional here today, are we, Dave?
Please no. Please no. Yeah,
the pick is in. Here we go.
What's a Patriot need? Let's see here.
I think maybe the defensive side of the ball, they could look at wide receiver, maybe. I don't know.
Caleb Lomu.
Caleb Lemieux.
Yeah, well, they drafted, Will Campbell last year. This actually was the one offensive tackle I guess, could have made the case for that was on the board. Actually, this could have been the pick.
This is the guy that was the other end, Spencer Fano.
This was the guy that maybe the Texans could have taken. Mm-hmm. A really solid player. Again, 3 sacks allowed last year. Again, both of those tackles were really good in pass pro. 12 starts at left tackle. I think this was a need for the Pats.
Remember, this is a young guy too, Davey. He's only a sophomore.
Well, you have Will Campbell manning the one tackle spot. You have now Lomu occupying the other tackle spot. Offensive line. Maybe you got your bookend tackles right now in New England, Steve.
And you needed it because Drake May. I know they pretty much blamed Drake May, but let's not forget. Yeah. That offensive line, God, they've addressed it. They needed it really bad. The Super Bowl, Drake May did not look good in. I think this was a good move. I think this was a good pick by the Patriots.
Well, they had some weaknesses on that offensive line that were kind of masked the entire year. A lot of people said that was the right side of the offensive line was its weakness. If Will Campbell's your left tackle, this is your right tackle. You could have a good 1-2 punch there.
Yeah.
Again, they brought in Romeo Doubs at wide receiver. We'll see how much that helps over Stephon Diggs, who's out the door. I could have maybe made the case for another wide receiver here, Steve. But
if they get A.J. Brown, they might not need that.
Well, that's true. The A.J. Brown trade.
Keyshawn Butte. We don't know Butte is going to stay.
Yes, I like Butte. That was our catchphrase this year. Right?
Yeah, we had a few catchphrases,
Yes, we did. I digress. Matt Collins. Yeah, Romeo Doubs, Matt Collins, A.J. Brown. That's not a bad wide receiver core. They probably did need to secure the right side of the offensive line. I think Lomu was a really good tackle. Again, I actually am wondering if I was the Texans, this might have been the pick at the at that tackle spot. I'm a little surprised they may have passed on Lomu for tackle and look more towards interior of the offensive line. But it was the player they wanted, so that's why they went there. I'm sure. Looks like the Chiefs
pick is in, guys. Number 29. We're about to wrap up the draft, guys, or at least first round. So, getting close to the end.
Top 30.
Yeah, I'm wondering. You know what, Kansas City. If you, we keep on talking about teams. Wanting a wide receiver.
I know. Don't let them pick up. I don't want them having Cooper or Boston.
Yeah, you don't want that, do you, Steve?
No, I do not.
Yeah.
By the way, I am not picking the Chiefs in this year's extravaganza. Okay,
Steve's calling his shot right now.
I'm not taking them. They didn't make the playoffs.
Didn't he hedge his
That-
bet? He
that
had
hurt a
5
little
teams.
bit.
He had like 5 teams he picked to go to the Super Bowl. He hedges his bet.
I know it felt like I picked a few more teams than you guys.
Yes.
Texans and Buccaneers, and I got this Vrabel thing, and oh my God, it's sickening.
Hey, some of them went far though. The
See,
Texans went far. I mean, the Patriots.
They
went
could
far.
still take a look at offensive line, maybe wide receiver. Defense, actually, interesting enough, is a concern there in Kansas City. Maybe Folk could be a possibility here, the Auburn pass rusher.
Let's see, they got a guy on defense earlier in the draft, right?
Well, they took the corner to replace Trent McDuffie.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
So they took the corner to replace Trent McDuffie. And I think they could look on the defensive side of the ball. Offensive line, maybe pass rusher here. I don't know if they go after one of the wide receivers, which is Cooper or Boston. Not so sure about that.
Yeah, I think they got to improve this defense,
Yeah, I mean, you still, when you overall look at that roster, I mean, you still, have George Karlaftis. You still have Chris Jones.
Or if there was a lineman, I have to look a little bit here, but at times Patrick Mahomes looks like he could use protection as well,
Yeah, but I mean, now you're running really thin on tackle with pretty much all of them off the board. But I would not be surprised to see the defensive side of the football come into play yet again here in Kansas City. Although, again, I thought that at times they were really good on the defensive side of the ball. Actually, that's been kind of their calling card the last couple of years. They've been morphed more into a defensive team.
Yeah, with Mahomes.
The early Chiefs teams, that were built around a younger Tyreek Hill and a younger Travis Kelce, and obviously he had Kareem Hunt to start for part of his first season at quarterback, but it was always more built around that passing game.
Yeah, they're taking a receiver, I think, the Chiefs.
So you think they take wide
Yeah,
receiver?
they are. They're doing it.
You don't think they go to the
Kelsey's getting a little.
Well, you
older.
already took the defensive side of the football, so you took a corner earlier, so
Yep.
I would not be
It's going
surprised.
to be Mr. Boston, I think.
Boston or
This
Cooper,
is
maybe?
it. Boston, right here. This is it. It's my prediction.
Okay, we'll see if that comes to fruition.
Oh, we will see. Boston.
The pick is in.
Pick is in. We'll go to the commissioner. Pick number 29 in the first round.
So Brent is calling his shot right now. He's calling wide receiver.
Wide receiver, but I think it's Boston.
Give Patrick Mahomes another weapon.
Peter Woods.
Defensive
Woods.
tackle.
Yeah.
He was up there. I mean, maybe Chris Jones can't play for forever.
And he's another one that's not there, so he. But this, I think he was. I'll check him out on my.
Yeah,
board.
I had him. A lot of people had him ahead of Caleb Banks, who went to Minnesota at 17, I believe. A lot of people had Peter.
I thought Peter Woods was going to be drafted.
Yeah, Peter
ahead,
Woods
yeah.
or Caden McDonald were great. See, Woods was a better pass rusher. He had 7 sacks last year, 11 TFLs. Was a really, really solid player at Clemson. He can play the run and rush the passer. 6'4", 295. Good pass rush moves. It's going to be interesting to see, how well he holds up against the run. 6'4", 295 at defensive tackle. Or do they kick him outside? That could be an interesting defensive line. You already have Karlaftis. You already have Chris Jones. I mean, a defensive line of Karlaftis. You had Woods. Give yourself another impact player on that D line. I'm not surprised they went to the defensive side of the ball. Actually,
I'm not either, Dave. That doesn't surprise me because I do think that they need to get the defense even better.
Yeah, Chris Jones isn't getting any younger either. I would say, it's who knows how many years he's got left. Maybe this is a little bit of the heir apparent at defensive tackle. He's 31 years old, so maybe they're looking a little bit towards the future here. But I think they just want to solidify what was already a solid defensive line, make it even stronger.
And Woods is known for his pass rush ability, so
Yeah.
that can help Kansas City.
Yeah, they hit on Karlaftis before. Maybe this is another hit. It's a well-run organization.
And he's compared to his teammate, who'd be Chris Jones. So,
Well, you look at the wide receiver position. I thought when they got Rashee Rice last year, I thought they were going to be okay, pretty solid at the wide receiver position.
They are.
They drafted offensive lineman a year ago with Josh Simmons. You still have Creed Humphrey at center. The offensive line I think is doable, and you still have Xavier Worthy again, Rice. I thought you could have made a case for a wide receiver, Taquan Thornton at wide receiver, but again, I thought there was still a need on the defensive line. You strengthen the defensive line. Woods is a very good pass rusher. You add him along with Karlaftis, Chris Jones. It's a good group up front at the D line for Kansas
Go to
City.
the commissioner. Pick number 30, guys.
who we got? The Jets, huh?
The Jets on the board here.
They've already had a really good first round. So let's see what they do here. I'm thinking maybe offensive line.
Omar
they-
Cooper,
Oh,
wide
wow.
receiver, the Jets.
By the way, my vote for the best draft so far is right here, the New York Jets. They get, I think, a guy that's a top 5 wide receiver. They get the best, I believe, the best pass rusher in this draft,
Yeah,
in
David Bailey.
and they get the best tight end in this draft in Sadiq.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
I'm giving him an A minus.
Yeah,
I mean, so
Aaron
far-
Glenn needs
so
job
far.
security. You need, to. By the way, your only hope with Gino is to surround him with as much skill player talent as you possibly can. If you're going to say Omar Cooper, Garrett Wilson, Sadiq at tight end, not bad, Steve.
Yeah, not bad.
I mean, he could have at least 3 reliable targets to throw the football right now. I know you're not a believer in Gino.
I'm not
either. I'm not
Brees Hall
either.
at running back, so you got a decent running back.
Yeah, the weapons aren't bad.
This
You-
guy, look after catch, like you
Yeah,
said, Dave.
you get a
It is, back
Yes,
to our
love
pick.
him.
Guys,
Love him.
back
Pass
to our
after
pick.
catch, yeah.
I
I was a fan of this
How
guy.
could
though.
how could they pick Concepcion over a guy like this? I mean, it's just
Blows my mind.
it. I mean, like I told you, the Concepcion, he does have the speed, but what I kind of worry about is that frame, the size. He
Yeah.
can't. That might not hold up.
on the outside. Exactly.
Yeah, it might not hold up,
Right.
and that's the.
Like Dave said, this guy's got the pass after catch.
Yards after catch. Yes.
Sorry, yards after catch.
Yeah, because when I looked at him, he looks like a receiver.
Yep. Again, great in the red zone. 13 touchdowns. Perfect target down there. Can break tackles after he catches the ball. Cooper was one of those guys. I think I had him 3rd amongst my wide receivers. I liked him a lot. And I thought it would have been a really good pick. The Jets so far, really good, really interesting first round, making the most out of these 3 first-round draft picks. I think Aaron Glenn, has got some guys that are going to really help him out next year. I'm not saying this team is making the playoffs or anything, but for a coach that needs to win some more ball games next year, he may have gotten a few players that might help him to do that.
Yeah, he's done a good job in this draft. There's no doubt.
Buffalo's up, pick is in.
I think Cade McDonald could be a pick here. It looks like who's on the clock here? Is this still the Bills or
This
are
is
we
the
back?
Buffalo Bills.
Buffalo, yeah.
Yeah, I think Cade McDonald to help maybe improve a run defense that was the worst in the NFL last year could be the pick here for the Buffalo Bills.
Caden McDonald, Eldrick Folk still available, I think. He said.
Yeah, the edge. I mean, they could use a little bit of help there. I wouldn't be surprised to see that, but
Oh, they traded the pick to Tennessee.
they did trade the pick to Tennessee. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, wow, they get the 7 minutes there. Okay.
So Tennessee already has Carnell Tate. It's going to be interesting to see now if they look at the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, Robert Saleh, being a defensive-minded guy, I think they're going to go defense on this pick. Let's see, who does Tennessee need? There's really good corners out there.
Yeah, the Tennessee, actually, they've got some corners there in Tennessee. the two Tennessee corners. They have a need at edge. They have a need at corner. They could go with either of the Tennessee corners, or they could go Folk.
Folk's available.
The Titans pick is in, guys.
Yeah, my second, third, and fourth best corners are still available here, which is Terrell, McCoy.
There's a Toledo safety available, Neil Warren.
Yeah, a lot of people had him as
pretty high up,
right as the third safety, probably right after Thieneman and Downs.
Yeah.
Pick is in.
Yeah, I think Hood, McCoy,
Go to the commissioner.
Terrell. All right, let's see what they do. I'm banking defense. All right, let's see if we can get the pick here, Raj. Let's get the show moving here, buddy. Keldrick Folk.
Keldrick Folk, guys.
Yes.
An edge out of Auburn.
This is a guy I really liked. Obviously this was a stock draft with edges, Steve.
Yeah.
8.5 sacks, 4 pass breakups, 2 forced fumbles. I thought he was really, really good. Did it in the SEC. I think he's got really, really good skills. The measurables are there. 6'6", 276, perfect edge guy. This could be the type of player that Robert Saleh really likes. He's had good edge guys in the past. Obviously, he had Nick Bosa when he was in San Francisco. So this could be the next really good edge guy for him in Tennessee, Steve.
Yeah, I had him number 4 on my edge guys when we went over that.
Yeah.
This guy is a powerful run defender. He's got pass back production, elite length for his position. He was a junior. He has 6'6", 276 pounds. He can play a 4-3 defense or a 3-4. He could play linebacker / edge. Giving him more depth there for the Titans. The Titans definitely need help. As you remember, even the Browns did lose to the Titans last year, but remember Shador kind of carved them up a little bit, got back in the game, and the Titans need to get better on defense. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, I thought that was basically their needs coming into that. I mean, obviously, you want to get another weapon for Cam Ward. You did that already. I think the Titans have had a really solid first round here with these 2 picks.
Yeah,
I like Tate at wide receiver. I actually would have had this guy maybe, when I say top 5 edge guys, well, you have Mesidor, you have Bain, you have Reese. Yeah, I would probably top 5, but if he's top 5, he's maybe 5. But still, I mean, top 5 edge guy, number 1 wide receiver in the draft, in my view, in Tate. So, again, solid draft. You address a really big need. They have Jeffrey Simmons on the interior defensive tackle, but you really don't have an edge guy that can rush the passer there with the Titans. I think this fills the bill. I think he had solid production last year at Auburn. And this is a good move.
I think them and the Jets, I'm probably getting an A in my grade so far. If I had to give a grade, the Jets and the Titans have done a great job in the draft tonight so far.
Yeah, I agree with you. I like his length, good speed. That speed off the edge is what you love. I think he'll fit in well in that defense. You get an impact guy on the defensive line. You get an impact guy at wide receiver. That's not too bad for a first round if you're Robert Saleh.
Oh, yeah. In Seattle.
Yeah, the pick is in with the Seattle Seahawks.
The Super Bowl champions. Yeah. Seems like he's got a good motor, too, Steve. He's just relentless in getting after the quarterback, which is what I really, really like. And this is a defense that really could stand to improve. I think you could have made a case for corner there, Steve. Tennessee maybe taking a Tennessee corner.
Yeah.
Would have been interesting.Maybe McCoy or maybe Hood. Well, it's going to be interesting. Those guys will have to wait to go, somewhere in the second round. I actually thought, I'm a little surprised Cade McDonald from Ohio State, who, by the way, could still go here at 32. This is going to be an interesting pick for Seattle. They could maybe go there at defensive tackle, although they may go corner too. But it's going to be interesting to see what the Super Bowl champs do.
Yeah, they had a great defense last year. They rotated guys. Even when guys went down, the next man, was ready to stand up. So
yeah, the best defense in the NFL in points allowed. They showed it in the playoff run and obviously in the Super Bowl. Legion of Boom, I think they have a different nickname right now, right? But it's a great defense. Corner's a possibility here for Seattle, by the way. Wouldn't be surprised to see them maybe make the move on either Terrell, Hood, or McCoy, one of the top three corners.
I think that'd be a good move for them. And even if they're rotating them or making them a nickel, if they feel like they are good enough at that position, they're great at rotating players. So I think those guys would be good fits. Yeah, McCoy.
The one thing, I mean,
Caden McDonald, like you said.
Yeah, I love him at defensive tackle. Buffalo traded out of that. I thought he could have been a real help for them to kind of help shore up what was an awful run defense.
All right, guys, the Seahawks, the pick is in. We're waiting on the commissioner.
Yeah, love Julian Love at safety, but they could really use a corner here. I would not, again, I think you have three really good ones left.
All right.
Interesting to see where they go, though. You're thinking corner two, Steve?
That's what I was thinking. I think those are some of the best players available as well. Right, this fellow.
Right. Let's see what they do.
Some Seahawks fans.
Well, they're getting fired up, man.
Oh, this guy's fired up.
Really cool mustache, by the way. Love the mustache. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Stop.
We love the stash. Here we go.
All right, Jadarian Price, guys, to wrap things up. Notre Dame running back.
They had Kenneth Walker.
Jadarian Price.
Gone, so.
Yep. A lot of people felt that, it's interesting, Notre Dame had the two best running backs in this draft. Jadarian Price is an interesting pick. I guess
Jeremiah Love,
you lose Kenneth Walker in the offseason, Steve. You needed a running back maybe to replace that production. Price was a pretty solid back. He had to share a backfield with the best running back in America. I thought they had the best 1-2 punch. I mean, still, 113 rushes, 674 yards. He's fairly productive in that offense. Solid pass receiver at 38 receptions. Really a major drop-off, I thought, after Love. I didn't expect another running back to go in the first round. I don't know if you did, Steve, but I didn't.
I didn't think two running backs would be, and you knew Love was going to be a top choice, but
right.
I thought this guy would at least be the second round, or maybe even deeper. I think Seattle went by position and need, and when you lose your Super Bowl MVP, you got Charbonnet, of course,
coming off an injury though, Steve. So
you need a young guy that can get right in there. This guy had 11 touchdowns for Notre Dame, even backing up Love and all that.
So
good catch. Passing ability. Yep.
Guys, this has been fun. That wraps up round 1 of the NFL Draft 2026. Let's get some final thoughts and get us out of here. We'll go to Steve. Any final thoughts?
Well, guys, I had a lot of fun doing our first live stream draft here in 26, and I thought the Browns could have chose a little better. I thought the Jets did good, as I said, and Dave, you said that as well. I think it's been a lot of fun, though. I hope the Browns can make some better picks here in the upcoming draft. I'd probably give them about a C minus. I mean, I like Fano, but just not fond of the receiver pick, guys.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with that, Steve. I think Fano, I thought he was my number 1 offensive lineman. He was in a lot of people's top 2 or 3 offensive linemen, so they got a really good player there. Again, we'll have to see about Casey Concepcion. Not really excited about undersized wide receivers. So far, my winners of the draft have to be the Jets. I also like what Tennessee has done. Been an interesting draft so far, Brent.
Yeah. Guys, this is a lot of fun. And we will look forward to having our next podcast here probably in a couple weeks and just kind of recap some of the draft and obviously get into some more content. I enjoyed it. Guys, have a good one. Take care.